You know, I'm thinking about maybe
What's up,
starting,
Show Nation? This is
maybe doing
Chris
some road to
Singleton,
the
and
show
welcome to the
before I get
show.
going. But I'm not. I'm just gonna go straight in Diamond Dynasty.
And welcome in, everybody. Glad you're with us. MLB The Show brings you Diamond Dynasty Baseball. It's the Drillers taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. And we'll be back with the first pitch right after this. Ready to go now? Here's Ronald Acuna Jr. at the plate.
The right fielder, Ronald Acuna Jr.
The wind of the pitch. And that's outside. And this one is off and running. And another ball.
No strike.
The wind to kick the pitch. That one finds the zone. And a count 2-1.
This is a hitter who takes his game to another level, playing at night.
Way out front for strike 2.
Man, he really sells the changeup with that arm action.
That's a laser base hit. So a man on base to start the inning. Here's Ketel Marte, a switch hitter batting right. And there he goes. Fly ball down the line. And no one can get to it. It's a foul ball. Step off, throw to first.
He's in there.
Acuna dives back in.
If it were an average catcher behind the plate, I'd say take second base, but this isn't a catcher you want to run on. His quick release is unreal.
Strike 2 with the go-ahead run at first, and we're just getting started here in the top of the first. Runner on the go again, and right back to the mound. They get the out on Marte. So digging in, David Justice. Almost got him.
As a pitcher, you know the runner on second is ready to push things with his speed. A base hit's probably going to be a big run, so you really have to execute on the mound.
The 1-0. And that one fouled off. Kershaw checks on the runner. Dives back, and he's out. The lefty ready, and a 1-1. Swing and a miss, and that's strike 2.
Gonna really need to hang in there with that front side against this left-handed breaking ball.
Swing and a miss. And we're back. Here's Teoscar Hernandez. And the pitch. That one finds the corner. It's 0-1. Fought off foul. And he deals. And a swing and a miss. Down on strikes. One away. Foul ball there. One down, base is empty. And a foul ball left side. The 0-2. Triple digit. digits on that last pitch. Here comes Freddie Freeman up to hit. And a foul ball. 2 outs, base is empty. Swing and a miss. Nice changeup.
No balls, 2 strikes.
Got him. And how about second inning set to go. Now it's the power speed combo. Ken Griffey Jr. And a swing and a miss.
Tired or not, he's relentless with the way he pitches. He might be exhausted out there, but his stuff is still nasty.
Check swing. Did he go? Yes, he did.
0-2 is the count.
Kicks and fires.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
That one missed.
The guy at the plate could recognize slider out of the hand. Didn't stay in the tunnel very long in terms of depth and perception. He knew right away it was an off-speed pitch.
Smith down to first. In time to get him. 1 away in the strikeout. Here's the third baseman. And that one finds its way through. So they get a man aboard with a 1-out single.
Couldn't have timed it up any.
Now it's the shortstop, Jordan Lawler. That misses the zone, and that's ball 1. Out towards left center. Sizes this one up. He's got it, and there's 2 away.
Well, such a confidence boost for a reliever to come into the ball game and get the first hitter he faces. Just makes everything slow down a little bit, and then from there can really settle in.
Ethan Salas stands in here, takes ball 1 low. And that's outside. Now 2-0. Two outs.
Hey!
That one is absolutely belted. Hayward going back. Pulls it in on the warning track. Back here at Chavez Ravine. We head to the bottom of the second. Digging in, Mookie Betts. And a pitch. That's strike 1 to Mookie Betts.
0-1's the count.
Check swing. Did he go? Yes, he did.
0-2.
Betts takes low. Got him. Looks like he's picked up right where he left off. Bounce to the left side. Lawler sends it across to first, and a couple of quick outs. Max Muncy at the dish.
Max Muncy.
This lineup's going to have to find a way to make him work a little harder out there on the mound. I mean, he is just mowing them down. He's settling in. You got to make him uncomfortable. Maybe step out of the box, call timeout, do whatever it takes.
A swing and a miss as he chases way out of the zone.
2 strikes.
Swings through it. And back here at Dodger Stadium. Now it's the second baseman, Jazz Chisholm Jr. The pitch. And that one fouled off.
Trying to keep good speed off the bases.
Here comes the 0-1. This one drilled right center field. That one heading for the fence and gone. A gigantic blast. And they lead it. It's 1-0. And now Jack Peterson. Swing and a miss. That's strike 1.
Always exciting to see a leadoff home run in an inning. Kind of gets the offense fired up, and you start to expect a big inning.
Smoked on
give
the
me a
ground to
second.
second.
Uh-huh.
Over to
Wait,
first.
wait.
And one away in the top of the third.
Wait.
So the batting order turns over. Here's Acuna now. And he's already singled in this game.
No.
And first offering is fouled off. Fireisen, a 6'2" righty. He features a four-seam fastball, a
Harmony.
slider, and he works in a changeup. Ball one low. One run across in the frame so far. We're here in the top half of inning number 3. Swing and a miss.
Clearly he was sitting on a fastball right there and just ended up out in front of the slider. Hey, you can't fault him for his commitment.
Oh, now this is blasted. Way back there. On its way. Gone. Ketel Marte up to the plate. And first offering is fouled off. Righty to the plate. Just off the outside edge. And the count even 1-1. That's down and in.
1 strike.
Next pitch is outside.
First pitch strike from the pitcher, but then no panic at all by the hitter. Very patient, showing good discipline. Now he's in the driver's seat with the 3-1 count.
1 out, base is empty. And he walked him. So the Dodgers have a new arm on the mound, Joe Kelly.
Okay. Okay. Yes, Coach. Yeah, I got it. I got you. I know that when I woke up, she brought y'all in. But you know what? It's okay. I know this is what happens. I'm here. Let's go. This is what we do, ain't it? I know. you turn around? I never understand that. You know what it is? She's one of them types that wants to make sure everybody makes it. It goes like, I make it, and then I'll worry about everybody making it. It's a ghost in a fire. You're getting out, and then you're turning around seeing if anybody's coming. Harmony says she'll get close to the exit. She got to make sure everybody makes it. Did you give them a treat? Nope, don't need another one, Harmony. She said you got some. She said, damn you, bitch. All right. We're back.
Power slider guy, Boog. He throws it hard.
Justice stands in here. Tried to hold back his swing there, but went around. Kelly, known as a guy with pretty lights out type stuff, racks up the strikeouts, but the command at times can elude him. Still only one out here in the inning. And that one is inside.
When the game's on the line, that's when justice shines. He said, you already got the lead.
That one ran inside, almost got him. And the righty deals. Now,
that was a good pitch. I feel like I was on time. I was. I thought my swinging time was on.
Swing and a miss as he was out front that time. Ball one there. Marte leads off first with 2 down to the inning. Way inside.
Straighten him up a little bit.
Comes up empty. That's strike 2.
Wow, no fair right there. I mean, that slider didn't move to the very last moment. Incredibly difficult to pick that up. Just kind of have to tip your cap on that pitch.
Three-2 now. And ball 4, 2 aboard. Now the third baseman.
Not what he wanted to do right there, Boog. That keeps this inning alive, puts a runner in the scoring position, and a chance for this offense to add on to their lead.
In the air, left field. Could be extra bases.
No, could be too.
One run is in around third. He'll score. 2 runs are in, and they lead by 4. To the mound now, they turn to Blake Trinan. He has a great slider with tons of movement. Lawler swings through that one as he comes to the plate for the second time today.
I'm just seeing shit, man.
2 really good back-to-back sliders. Now in an 0-2 count. He's feeling real confident about finishing this hitter off. He can go anywhere he wants.
Not in time to get him, and the tapper turns into an infield single. And now the catcher comes up to hit. Ethan Salas. Runner on the goal. On the ground. And foul ball.
I love this part of the game. Does he really want to try and steal second against this catcher? I know he's fast, but it's pretty risky.
Two on, 2 outs. Runner goes again. That's a base hit. Run scores. Throw in holds that trail runner at third base. They're at the corners with 2 away. And the batter now, Jazz Chisholm Jr. He's already homered here in this one. Swing and a miss, and he was fooled.
0-1.
That one not close, and it's a ball and a strike. Wouldn't
2-1.
chase that time.
Good spot for the hitter. Definitely has the advantage in this count with runners on. Look for him to be aggressive on this next pitch.
And they're at the knees. And the count is 2-2. The pitch. And they'll do it again. 2 outs. And there's a ball. And they're all loaded up.
Well, a great back and forth, and that at bat. He had to lay off some really close pitches, and somehow Boogie found a way to keep the bat on his shoulder right there. I'll tell you right now, I couldn't have done it.
New pitcher for the Dodgers, Brusdar Graterol.
And with the big deficit on the scoreboard, he almost has to just put that out of his mind. Every outing matters for relievers and their numbers, but I think it's tough to get up for this type of appearance the same way you would for one in a close game.
Slider misses outside. Swings through that one out in front that time.
2 strikes.
In the air, right field, pretty well struck. That one back there. And boom goes the dynamite. Their 3rd home run of the inning, and they add to their lead. It's 9-0. So the lineup flips over, and now it's Ronald Acuna Jr. He's already homered in this game. On the ground to the left, bats up with it, throws across the diamond, and Acuna. And welcome back to the ballpark. Set for the bottom of the 3rd, and now it's going to be Chris Taylor. There's a strike.
This is one of those times when you want to be aggressive. Go ahead and pitch to contact. Let the defense work behind you. You've got a nice, comfortable lead. Don't try to be too fine.
Ball, 2 strikes.
Check swing on an 0-2. Appeal to first. No swing. Eric Summerskill with the call. Pitch is in the dirt. 2-2. Got him looking. And now just 2 outs away. Here's Jason Hayward. And there's a strike. This one popped up. Foul ground first base side. Peterson makes the grab. That's out number 2. So they're down to their final out. Next is the Dodger DH, Miguel Rojas.
That's inside.
First pitch, and he just misses. And that's in for a strike. 2 down, nobody on. Here in the last half of the 3rd. Swings and misses. And that is strike 2.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
Got it. And that'll do it. 9-0 your final in this one. For Chris Singleton and our entire outstanding crew.
Let me start doing some of these prize pick'ems that he sent to me.
Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining us. The show brings you Diamond Dynasty Baseball. It's Bangkok taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. All right, we'll be back to get this one started after this. And here is Ronald Acuna Jr.
The right fielder, Ronald Acuna Jr.
The pitch. Swing and a miss. 0-1.
0-1.
Swings through that one. It's a strikeout. An outstanding hitter in Ketel Marte. And that's outside. One out, base is empty.
The healthy cut, tough pitch at 98, but a really good pass at the ball.
And another ball.
1 strike.
Swing and a miss. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
I don't know why she's bad. Stupid.
At the plate, David Justice. Ground ball up the middle. That's a base hit. So a 2-out knock keeps the inning alive. Stepping in, the long ball threat, Ken Griffey Jr. Swinging a foul straight back. The 0-1. Swing and a miss as he was late.
Well, he looks to have some quality stuff on the hill today. Start this outing out. Pepper in the zone. Arm is loose and firing him in there.
1 ball.
Not close with that one. And a count 1-2. At the belt and fires. And that one just missed off the outside edge.
It's a good take.
That one 95.
Just swinging stupid.
Here's Teoscar Hernandez. The pitch. That clips the zone. That's strike 1. And a big swing and a miss.
No balls, 2 strikes.
And down on strikes. 1 away. And here is James Outman. Fastball for a strike. 0-1. Swing and a bouncer. On to Peterson. And that quickly 2 away. Freddie Freeman up to the dish. Swing and a miss. Strike 1.
0-1's the count.
Bounce to the right. Chisholm. Slings to first, and the Dodgers are back here in L.A. Here's the third baseman, number 22. And here it comes. In the air, left side. Squeezes it, and there's 1 away. And now, Jordan Lawler.
Almost a loud start to the inning on that first pitch. Man, he's going to want that one back, no doubt.
A swing and a miss, and that's strike 1.
0-1.
Well, a come and get me fastball right there. He didn't look ready for the velocity. I think it'd be a mistake to throw him anything off speed right here.
And it finds its way through for a hit. So a man aboard now with 1 away.
Well, that may end up being.
So the Dodgers have a new arm on the mound, Alex Vesia.
And they felt it was time to bring on a left-handed reliever from the pen with the lefty hitter coming up. I think it's a good move. I know I never liked when opposing teams did that to me. Base runner with a one-way lead right there. All he's trying to do is get a look at the pitcher's move. Had no intent of stealing on that pitch.
It's a pitch out, nothing doing, and that's ball one. With the go-ahead run at first, here at the top of the second. Strike one.
This might be a steal situation, but that's not your average catcher behind the dish. You have to be careful here.
Runner on the go. Cut on and miss. And that's a stolen base. Not even close. Man, is he fast.
It's so fun to watch.
Man at second. Foul ball still, a 1-2 count. The pitch. Swing and a high fly ball out there towards left field. He makes the catch, and there's 2 down.
Yeah, that was a wasted RBI opportunity, but a competitor like him, he is looking forward to making up for it in his next at-bat.
Here's the pitch. Runner on the move. Oh, he hit him. And that got him pretty flush. Here's Jack Peterson.
Now the pressure was already high, and now it's been cranked up to another level. Man, his head must be spinning out there on the mound. He's got to find a way to slow things down. That breathing technique, Boog. Let everything out.
Swing and a miss. 0-2 now.
Man, he really sells the changeup with that arm action.
Double steal. Pitch misses.
Ball one.
Throw to third. Too late. Safe. Double steal. Two on, 2 outs. That one just misses, and that's ball 2.
Man, oh man, I don't know how you take that pitch. That's as close as it gets.
Foul ball, another 2-2 upcoming. 2 outs. And a swing and a miss. Ready to go for the last half of the inning. Here's the shortstop at the plate, Mookie Betts. And that drops in for a strike. That catches the zone for a strike, and the count is 0-2. The shortstop takes the ball. Swings and misses, struck him out. Here comes Max Muncy. First pitch just misses.
Ball one, no strike.
That one is upstairs.
2-0 count to a guy with this much pop at the dish. You better expect him to be turning on something. It's going to either get hit hard to the pull side, or the fans better look out in the stands.
And that one fouled off. One down, base is empty. And there's ball 4.
Maybe a little loss of focus on the mound right there. Pretty much gifted him first base with a quick free pass.
That one ripped but foul. Muncy, the runner at first, with 1 gone in the inning. Fought off foul. Foul ball. It stays 0-2. And the right-hander deals. Hacks and misses. It's a strikeout. Here's Jason Hayward. And that's too high. Popped up, foul territory behind the plate. And he can't make the play. And the pitch. Swing and a miss, and that's strike 2.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
Look out.
Timeout.
And it hit him. He had 2 strikes on him, and he hit him.
I think he kind of leaned into that one.
Chris Taylor in the box now. Takes strike 1. And a big swing and a miss.
0-2 is the count.
Hits and misses. We're back to start the third, and there's a new arm on the mound, J.P. Fireeisen. Here's Ronald Acuna Jr. at the plate. Outfield deep here, trying to prevent anything over their heads. And he deals. That one off the mark, and that's ball one.
It's good speed at the top of the order here. You want to get it on, see if you can get a stolen base, maybe get around the bases and pick up a run.
Swings through that one.
It lagged a little.
And now 2 balls and a strike. Right-handed reliever. Very high with that one. And now 3-1. And a swing and a miss.
Filthy changeup right there. Just pulled the string.
3-2 now. Ball 4, he walked in. And that'll keep the line moving.
Oh, he earned his trip to first right there. It's not easy laying off pitches that just miss the zone like that. And it's a real discipline as well. He's put a lot of work into that aspect of his game, and it paid off right there.
Fireizing, keeping an eye on him.
If you're a base runner, you got to stay dialed in here. Look for anything in the dirt. Try your best to get into scoring position.
1-0.
Pitch out, but no action. Top of the third, no score. Acuna runs. Pitch misses.
No strike.
Transfer bobbled, and there's no throw. Man at second. Lifted in the air, out to left. Makes the catch for the out. So now here's the DH, David Justice. 1 for 1 with a single so far. Here's the pitch. Runner breaks for third. That's in for a strike. Throw to third, and he's in there easily. Acuna stands at third with 1 gone in the inning. Left-hand hitter waits. Good eye in that spot.
I think ultimately you want to tie him up, get the ball in on the plate so that he can't get the barrel to it and hit it to the outfield.
And the 1-2 misses to even the count. Breaking ball, and that got him.
Well, he's just glad that he got hit with an off-speed pitch there instead of a fastball. Man, that would have hurt a lot more if it had velocity.
Ken Griffey Jr. now at the plate. He struck out swinging at his first at-bat. Pickoff throw. Oh, and they got him leaning. He's out. Inside, almost got him. All tied up. We're here in the top half of inning number 3. Swung on, belted. Hayward on a dead sprint, racing back. Hauls it in on the morning.
Picked off at first.
And we're back. Here's a new pitcher from the pen, number 1.
Bringing in the lefty with the left-handed hitter coming up to hit. Classic bullpen move right here, so we'll see how it works out.
And it's quickly 0-2 on the designated hitter. That's a little bit low. Now a screamer into the outfield. And that one's going to get into the corner. And that's a leadoff double.
Always feels amazing getting a job done when the team needs you to come through. It's just bigger than your own individual stats. Just a solid swing right there. Caught it out front and ripped it into the outfield for the base hit. Those always feel great.
Puts it away for the out. Now the number 2 hitter, James Outman. And immediately pumps in a strike to the left-handed hitter. In the dirt, and now it's even 1-1. Late that time, and it's strike 2.
Well, if he's going to do something special right here, it's going to...
Swing and a miss, struck him out. Here comes Freddie Freeman up to hit. That one finds the zone. That's strike 1. And ball 1. With the winning run standing at second here in the last half of the third.
I'm not worried about Freeman because when the game's on the line,
Fights it off. He'll see another.
Freeman
1-2.
shows.
2 balls, 2
Well,
strikes.
this is a guy that can be frustrating for pitchers because he
He
fouls
strikes
off so
out.
many pitches and grinds out the at-bat. I'm sure there's some times where a pitcher would rather just give up a first-pitch single than have to waste 6 or 7 pitches on one hitter.
He did what
To
he does.
Peterson, and Freeman is retired. That's the third out, and we're headed to extras. Welcome back, and now on the mound to start the fourth, Joe Kelly.
Power slider guy, Boog. He throws it hard and gets a lot of late movement, so it's tough to pick up.
Go ahead run on base. Now the third baseman. Fly to left his first time. And a pitch. Swing and a miss.
Good pitch.
It's 0-1.
Well, strike
0-1
one is so
the count.
critical in a bat like this with a real threat at the plate looking to do damage.
And he's down 0-2 as he swings through it.
No
He's
ball,
falling
2
behind in a
strikes.
huge spot, Boog. Got to do what it takes to come through. Maybe choke up on the bat a little bit, spread out those feet, whatever it takes.
Got him swinging. It's a strikeout. There's one, but no throw to first as he'll hold on to it.
You're best when you let the
How fast is this?
game come to you. Tried to make too much happen right there. Not his best at bat.
Lawler
that's
at
off
the
the
plate now, and that's inside. Next offering is in for a strike. Kicks and deals. And the pitch is in for a strike. And the count 1-2.
Thought that was going to go out.
And that one is lifted in the air. And that'll fall for a base hit. They fired in quickly, so it's first and second with only one away. And here's the catcher, Ethan Salas. He's 0 for 1. Swing and a high fly ball deep left field. Hernandez on the move, heading back. And it's caught just in front of the wall. Runner tags up for third. Jazz Chisholm Jr. now. Runner on the go. Hit on the ground to the right side. And that one handled. Fires to
The
first on the
simple
run.
fact that he was able to get to that ball.
Back here at
is
Chavez Ravine.
ridiculous.
Bottom 4. Now it's Mookie Betts. Here comes Emmanuel Clase out of the bullpen.
And we all know about his slider. It's just filthy, man. And one of the better ones in the
0-1.
game, I'd say. Spin rate's very high, and it just breaks a ton.
This guy's got good power. With one swing, he can win it for him. Fights that one away, and the count remains 0-2.
Ball,
And that's outside. That one down the line,
foul.
and it's just foul. That was close.
Well, he's having a tough time getting a pitch by him. As a hitter, you feel pretty confident
That's
that
ball
you're
2.
seeing different pitches still able to make some type of contact.
Swing and a miss, and he struck him out. He didn't make it easy for him on the mound, but they still get the strikeout. Here's Max Muncy, that funky Muncy.
Ball, that's
Just
out.
missed. And fouled off. Winning run at second with one away. And here in extra innings.
Inside ball.
And now 2
Get a
and
walk
1.
on this
You don't want to get beat by a fastball in, and he spits on that one.
And strike 2.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
He fouls it off. We'll do it again. The winning run on second base. And that one almost hit him. That to right. Sizing this one up. Calls it in, 2 away. And up to the plate is Will Smith. Just missed. Bounce to third, and that chance handled. Fires across the diamond, and they get the out on. We're back, and there's a new. And Jock Peterson stands in. The pitch. And he swings through that one.
Well, there's a certain point where you have to commit to what you think you see, and he guessed wrong right there. Nasty slider with just terrific bite at the end.
Pitch misses. 1-1. That one almost got him.
Straighten him up a little bit.
Fastball almost got him there.
First pitch strike from the pitcher, but then no panic at all by the hitter. Very patient, showing good discipline. Now he's in the driver's seat with the 3-1 count.
I was like, man, do you want to walk him?
Line drive, base hit. Chisholm rounds third, headed for the plate. Safe.
Go Jack, go Jack, go Jack.
Now the tag at second, and he's
No,
out.
he
Trying
was
for
not
2.
out at second.
And here is Ronald Acuna Jr.
That's okay.
And that's downstairs and outside. Base is empty, 1 away, and we're at the top of the 5th. Right through there for a strike.
I was expecting it to be the slider we've been throwing 90% of the time.
There's a strike.
As was
95
that.
of that one.
Did not expect you to start off with 3 straight sinkers.
Got him
That's what I was
swinging.
expecting.
Here's Ketel Marte. Yeah, he swings and misses, and it's 0-1.
0-1.
They say you win. 2 down,
Might
bases
be
empty, but
Ketel.
1 run across
Probably
here
got
in
somebody
extra
that's
innings.
higher this
Not even close there,
this is just
and the
his
count is
regular
1-2.
dynasty card.
That one just misses.
2-2 now.
And honestly, I think he's not bad.
It's through for a hit.
Then he
So
goes
he
and gets a
gets
base
on
hit.
base
He's
and
actually
keeps it
hitting
going.
higher than he
Here's Bubba Thompson.
Wow,
Came into the game as a pinch
got a
runner.
pitch range for
This is his
justice.
first trip to the plate in this one. Right through there for a strike. Pinch hitter coming on, Shohei Ohtani. The runner on first with 2 gone for him. To the right side, and it stays fair. Marte rounds second on his way to third. Lead runner gets the stop sign at third. It's a 2-out double, second and third now.
Ohtani
And now the center fielder, Ken Griffey Jr.
Shit.
And that's in there at the knees. Ripped, but it curls foul. That one not close. Now 1-2.
I held back.
Started after it. Appeal to third. He did
About to
not
say.
go around.
90% of the time, they like to say you're out.
Look out!
Good
And it
pitch.
hit him.
Take
He's
that.
kind of backed himself into a corner, and I'm sure starting to feel the pressure right now. We'll see if he can bear down and get out of this one.
Here's the third baseman. High fly ball down the left field line.
That's out.
Brings it in. And that's the third. And welcome back to the ballpark. And now Jason Hayward hit by a pitch his first
See Franco come in and get the
time
save.
up. John Franco taking
His
over on the
numbers.
mound.
He's got a wicked breaking ball in
Played
his
2
arsenal,
games.
and
He's
it's
2-0.
definitely one of his go-to
He's led
pitches when he needs an out.
a run.
These fans, they are ready to cheer about something.
And that one fouled off.
Well, in this situation with the runner on second, you've got to get him up to third. Think back up the middle or to right field.
Swings and misses. 0-2. Fouls it back with 2 strikes. And the slider just misses.
I remember when Jason was on the Braves, he was supposed to be the next big thing. Like, he was the stud. He was possibly the next thing.
Swing and a miss, struck him out. One gone
He
here.
was none of the above.
Taylor up to bat next. Lays off for a ball. 2 balls, no strikes to count.
Well, he looks more focused at the plate and working the count after that first at-bat strikeout.
Got the bat going too soon. It's strike 2.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
Next offering upstairs.
I don't know what that was.
Ninth pitch of the at-bat due next. Swings and misses, struck him out. And now here is Gavin Lux. Fastball for a strike. 0-1.
All ones the count.
And that one missing low.
He's mixing his pitches really well. Late on that
For real,
fastball
for
after
that.
seeing the changeup. Let's see if he
Swing and a miss. He struck him out. And that ends
That,
the
my
ball
friend,
game.
is how you
The
do it.
tying run left stranded at second. 1.
All right, I'm gonna finish my pick'ems, my prize picks. He sent that twice. I'm gonna do it. What's up, Davin? I'm doing the price picks right now. Your mama's born. How about that? Don't make me get Marquise on you. Okay, that's all. Damn, he sent that shit to me 3 times. You ain't co-watching you. Why ain't Cole working?
Live from Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, Diamond Dynasty Baseball coming your way on the show. It's the Drillers going up against the New York Yankees.
Well, I'm gonna need y'all to hit the like button. I feel you. I'd rather watch me than work
And
too.
now,
I'm with
Ronald
you.
Acuna Jr.
The right fielder, Ronald Acuna Jr.
The wind and the pitch. That one finds the zone, and we are underway. Swing and a miss. And the count is 0-2. Right-hander kicks, deals. Got him looking.
Struck out. That's what Acuna's been doing this year. I didn't want to swing the bat. That was a bad take. That was a couple bad takes.
And there's the strike.
Well, see, I'm the opposite. I swing at the balls and then I let the strikes go by.
Usually he's a second baseman, but today he's starting in the outfield. Wouldn't chase that time.
I always see second basemen as being pretty versatile guys you can move around, and so for him to be out in the outfield today doesn't surprise me at all.
That dude's triple step is wild.
Pitch misses there.
Curious of how
It's
he
2-2.
pitches whenever there's somebody on base, because that right there is a bone.
To the right side, and that one handled. Throws to first. 2 quick outs at the top of the first here tonight. Now it's the DH, David Justice. And that one hammered way back there. Bangs off the wall.
Tell
And
Cole
that's
that
a
one was for
2-out
him.
double.
Went up there looking to be aggressive and got something he could handle. That pretty much split the zone down the middle, and those are the ones where you got to make them pay.
Stepping in, Ken Griffey Jr.
That's out.
And that's outside. Ball 1.
Well, here's a chance right here for one of the better hitters on this roster to get him on the board in the first. Thanks to the 3-hole hitter extending the inning. Good at bat with 2 outs.
And that one fouled off. 2 down, go ahead run in scoring position, and we're just getting started here in the top of the first. Just missed.
For whatever reasons, this is a hitter that performs better in night games. We'll see what he brings in this one.
Man on second, 2 down.
3 balls, 2 strikes.
In the dirt, and the runner holds. Outside, and that is ball 4.
He didn't want none of
So
Griffey.
2 down. Now the third baseman.
I don't think he really wanted to pitch to him right there anyhow.
Out to center. Judge sizes this one up.
Yes.
And that's the 3rd out. And stepping in is the speedy John Birdie. And the pitch. Swing and a miss as he was out front.
0-1.
On the ground, right
That ball's
side,
foul.
and that's
Watch this.
just foul.
Watch this, guys.
On and miss, struck
That's how you do
him
it.
out. One down. Here's Gleyber Torres. There's a strike. One out, bases empty,
Sweet chin music.
and a strike to Gleyber.
Now I'm gonna send him on his way.
The next
Yep,
pitch
that ball
misses, and that is ball one.
I hit him with a curveball.
Knocks that one
Way
away,
in front
and we'll
back.
do it again. Next
2 balls,
offering way
2
off the
strikes.
plate.
This guy's a fun guy to watch taking at bat. He just battles up there. He doesn't take a pitch off at all. Makes it so difficult on the pitchers out there. You can tell they get frustrated with how long it takes to put him away.
Spoils that one, and it remains 2-2. That's
Thank you.
inside.
Really good take, especially with 2 strikes.
This to center field. Out number 2. Here comes Aaron
Fucking
Judge.
Judge.
Up and in. 1-0. 2 outs, base is empty. Next one misses. 2-0. Swings through the fastball up in the zone.
That's how I do it, Landon.
Ripped to short. Tosses across the first. Judge out on the play. And that is that. Welcome back, and we've got a new arm on the mound to start the second. Victor Gonzalez. And now the shortstop, Jordan
It's
Lawler.
like, why did your
Only
mom
his
suck
team is a better batting
dick
average than
and
he
not
does.
charge? Just how she does it.
As the lefty gets to work. Swing and a tapper that rolls foul. Here comes a pitch.
That's a ball.
And that clips the inside corner.
Yeah, but one day you'll get some pussy.
On the
Wait,
ground
you
to
said
short,
PCI.
Torres. On
Yeah,
to
I don't play
first.
online.
Leadoff man retired here in the second. Now Ethan Salas.
Well, such a confidence boost for a reliever to come into the ball game and get the first hitter he
0-1, no
faces.
strike.
Just makes everything slow down a little bit, and then from there can really settle in.
Up
That's
and
ball
in. 2 balls, no strikes. And
Reno.
another ball. Sliced hard but foul. One down, base is empty. Late with the swing there.
As a hitter, you don't know what to expect here in the 3-2. If he'll throw a breaking ball 3-1, he'll do it again 3-2.
Goes down looking. So 2 down now.
That was gonna be a
And
slider.
here is Jazz Chisholm Jr. And that's down and away. Two down, nobody on. And there's a foul ball. There's a sinker at the knees for a strike. And the next pitch is way outside.
I need to get somebody warmed up. Oh well.
Left-hand batter waits. Got him. And it's a
I
3
ain't
up,
seen it
3
there.
down inning.
Oh, maybe they could do.
Back for more from the Bronx. Bottom half of inning number 2. And now the right fielder, Juan Soto. On the ground. And this one could be extra bases. Safe at second with a leadoff double.
Well, clearly he was ready to hit right there. Just found a way to slap that ball down the third baseline. That's really excellent bat control, and it kind of goes back to all those drills you see hitters do off the tee where it's placed in different spots. That was just nice.
And a swing and a miss there.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
And another ball with the go-ahead run standing at
Pitcher's
second.
tired.
Bottom half of inning number 2. Hacks and misses.
Is he ready? You have to be ready.
It's a strikeout. So a lefty out of the pen, number 1. And here is Anthony Rizzo. And a breaking ball drops in for a strike. And it's strike 2. Peraza over at second, 1 down. Tried to check his swing. Appeal to third. No swing. Just held it back there.
Shit.
Base hit into the outfield. Here comes the throw. Not in time. He beat it, and they've got the lead.
And brought him left-hander to
Now
get the
it's
left-hander out.
LeMahieu up to hit. That one fouled off. Here's your 1. Man at first, 1 away. And a good eye there. Blows the high heat past him. That's a strikeout. Here's Alex Verdugo. Fastball in for a strike, and it's 0-1. Breaking ball in there for a strike. Ball 1 there.
Sometimes, yeah. I'm all right with that.
Swings through it, and that's a strikeout. We're back, and on the mound is the closer, Clay Holmes.
My mom loves me, though. That's all that matters to me.
For themselves, late and close. There's not much margin for error, but at the same time, there's a reason they're put in these situations.
Jock Peterson can't hold up, and that's a strike. Looking to get the tying run on base. Foul ball still 0-2. Righty to the plate. Got him! Now 1 away.
I
Here's
feel like my
Acuna
check
now.
swings are check swings. That's what I'm playing
Fouled off.
next.
He was late.
That and Frogger.
The pitch. That's towards center. Judge has it sized up. And there's 2 away. So it's their last chance in this one. So now a pinch hitter, Shohei Ohtani, looking for a 2-out spark with the bases empty. Foul ball there. A 1-run lead. We're here in the top half of inning number 3. Next offering misses, and the count is 1-1. On the ground, and this should do it. And that chance handled. Throw to first. Ball game. And the Yankees claim the win here behind some great.
No.
Now it's the right fielder, Ronald
Apple butter.
Acuna Jr.
The right fielder.
Oh,
Ronald Acuna.
strawberry jam. Strawberry jam's cool. Actually, it's hot. Holy shit! You can do a the orange.
And a pitch. There's a swing and a
Nah, you can do
miss.
orange. Well, you can do Sprite since it's the zero sugar. It don't. Whatever you bring me.
Out in front and foul to the left side.
Whatever you bring me.
The wind of the pitch. Ground ball right side. And it goes
Yes,
just
yes.
foul.
It's good.
And the 0-2.
Yeah, for breakfast.
And a foul ball. He stays alive. The 0-2. Outside.
Well, this is a guy that can be frustrating for pitchers because he fouls off so many pitches and grinds out the at-bat. I'm sure there's some times where a pitcher would rather just give up a first-pitch single than have to waste 6 or 7 pitches on one hitter.
Got him swinging. And there's one away. Here's Ketel Marte.
It's just a strikeout.
Fought off foul. Late on that
I was
fastball.
not quite that bad.
I think he was sitting off speed there.
I laid the shit on you.
Swing and a miss. The velocity blasted it right past him.
Oh, sweet.
And next is the designated hitter, David Justice. Swing and a miss. Strike one. Justice goes 6 feet 3 inches, hitting third in the lineup, and he's usually in the outfield. Today he's the DH. Kicks and fires.
Yeah, I'm trying to eat.
Swings through that one for strike 2.
You know, Bill, people don't realize how far the jog is from the dugout to the outfield position. And
Got him. Strikes out the side to
Shit's so
begin the
fucking
game.
hot.
What a start.
Huh.
And at the plate for the Dodgers, Teoscar Hernandez.
John smokes his ass.
And there's a ball.
Counts 1-0.
That one finds the corner. And the count 1-1. Swing and a miss. Ugly swing right there.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
That dude looked like me up there. I got it.
Swing and a pop-up. Foul territory for the catcher.
Put some jam on my
And there's one down. Here's the center fielder, James Outman.
The center fielder.
James, you have to wait just a second. Oh, get this jam. Shit. Oh. Good ball. Good strike. Good ball.
And that's in for a strike. 1 out, bases empty.
Food so good.
That's out to center field. Griffey gets under it,
Oh shit.
but misjudges this one, and it falls. Into second with a double, and they've got something brewing now. And at second with 1 away, Freddie Freeman steps to the plate for the Dodgers. Outman, the runner at second with 1 away. And that one is in for a strike.
as a
That should've been
pitcher,
out
you
2,
know
and
the
this should be
runner
out
on
3.
second is ready to push things with his speed. A base hit's probably going to be a big run, so you really have to execute on the mound.
Here's Mookie now. Swing and a miss. It's 0-1.
0-1.
Runner at second, 2 down. And fouled off.
Alright, we know it's gonna go out of bounds. Let's just go holler at your Mooks.
That one ripped.
Ah shit,
So
because of
Mookie
my
Betts
dumb
with a base
ass.
hit. Coming home.
Over here
He will
trying to
score
fucking
and
eat and
take
shit.
the lead. 1-0.
Always feels good when you come through and get your team on the board first. Nice job of driving that pitch the other way on a line. You know, hitters,
I'll get it back
they
next
take
time.
so many reps in the cages working on going to the opposite field, and it doesn't always translate into the game, but right there it did, and he did it perfectly. When you're taking your lead over there at first, you got to be very...
Swing and a miss. Back here in L.A. and now
right,
Ken Griffey
here
Jr. His home run numbers stand out, Chris. Nobody has hit more in his team. Check swing. Did he go? Yes, he did.
You know, this guy's great speed is in the back of that pitcher's mind. If he can get on, it's going to give him one more thing he's got to think about.
And he hits a ground ball right side. Tosses to first. One out in the second.
Well, he's doing a nice job of keeping the ball out of the air. Lets the defense work behind him with another ground ball. Good execution.
And that one fouled off. And that's off the inside edge. And that's ball one. Lined, and that's a base hit. So they get a man aboard with a one-out single.
All over that one right there. I could watch base hits like that one all day long, and so could every hitting coach in the league. Just a nice line drive into center field.
Jordan Lawler swings through it for strike one.
0-1.
And he chases that one below the zone.
With 2 strikes, may see some movement over there at first base, trying to stay out of the double play right here.
The next offering misses.
That curveball's legit.
Way to lay off that pitch down.
And a curve misses outside.
Well, he might have to look for a different put-away pitch right here, 2-2. He's already seen the curveball a couple of times in this at-bat, so might have it timed up and ready for it.
He should throw the pass.
Here's the 2-2. And another ball.
Okay, I'm probably going to be striking out throwing.
Move to
Ah,
first.
shit, he just picked
Dives
him off.
back out.
You piece of shit.
Trying to hold a one-run lead here at the top of the second. The right-hander gives up the 2-out walk.
One of the things about that 2-out walk, the base runner over at first base is going to have a very aggressive secondary lead. So a ball down the line or into the gap will produce a 2-out RBI, and those are the best. That is if you are the offensive side of it.
Here's a big power threat. Ethan Salas. Runner takes off. Swing and a miss. Safe at second, and he easily steals the bag. Man, is he fast.
It's so fun to watch.
And the righty deals. Just missed.
1-1.
That one missed. Lawler on at second with 2 down. Lifted in the air down the left side. Betts on the move. And that's the 3rd out. Bottom of the second. The batter now will be Will Smith.
The catcher.
Don't talk about his wife.
The right-hander back to work. And the slider. Just misses. Swing and a miss. And 1-1.
Will Smith, your wife is bald headed.
Right through there for a strike.
Looking like G.I. Jane.
Here's a 1-2. Gets a piece there. We'll do it again. Another 1-2.
Bald headed bitch.
Fouls that off to the left, and we'll do it again. Hits and misses. It's a strikeout.
Yeah, I'll talk about you.
Here's Jason Hayward.
Excuse me. Jason Hayward, thanks.
Clips the corner. Going 1.
So team's ass. The reason they got to run because I was eating. I missed the ball.
Swing and a miss.
No balls, 2 strikes.
Not close with that one. Now 1-2.
Why you just struck out?
Out to short. Lawler in the hole. Jump throw. 2 up, 2 down. 2 outs. Base is empty. Chris Taylor now. And first offering is fouled off. 2 outs. That one the other way. And Acuna able to make the grab.
Let's try it
Welcome
again.
back. And here comes the closer, Evan Phillips.
Now, this is an extremely confident pitcher. He loves the pressure. Actually likes a 1-run game better than a comfortable 3-run save opportunity because that's when he pitches his best.
1-1.
And that one upstairs.
Trying to keep good speed off the bases. Just missed. If he's able to connect on that, look
Sat
out.
and watched as they made their way through the parking
Just
area
misses
and
there.
onto the
Man,
road.
oh man, I don't know how
I
you
grabbed
take
my
that
phone
pitch.
and
That's
quickly
as
dialed my
close
dad's phone
as
number
it
again.
gets.
While I waited for him
Just
to pick
off the
up,
outside
I looked
corner.
over,
And now it's
seeing the
3-2.
truck had stopped right next to me. I stared at their window, knowing someone behind it was probably staring at me. I tossed my phone on the seat and started to drive forward, but the truck was quick to match
Looking
my
to get the
speed
tying
and
run
prevent
on
me
base.
getting back
And
onto
the
the road.
tying run is on
But
base.
there was nowhere else for
And
me
now
to
Jack
go.
Peterson.
Well,
To my
that right
left
there could
were
end up being a
trees.
big
To
walk
my
in this
right
game.
was
He's
this
certainly a
truck
threat on the
blocking my
bases,
way.
especially with them
I
looking to
started
tie
to
this
panic,
thing up.
putting the car in reverse and trying to
Swing
back
and a
up.
miss. And
The
it's
truck
nothing
did
two.
the same
If you're a base
until
runner,
they
you've got to
tapped the
stay
side of
dialed
my
in
car,
here. Look for
making me lose
anything in the
control
dirt.
and
Try your best
slide
to get into
completely
scoring
off the
position.
shoulder and hit the side of a tree. The truck quickly stopped right at the top of the road, as if they were going to get out.
Runner takes off.
But then
Got
their
it
brake
swinging.
lights suddenly turned off
Throw
again
to
as
second
they put
and
it back in
great
drive
jump.
and sped away.
To the top of the lineup, and here is
Just
Ronald
20
Acuna
seconds later,
Jr. Went
another
down
car
on
pulled up
strikes
to
his
the
first
side of
time
the road,
through.
and a man got out and ran up to me,
Got one
asking
out
if
to
I was
right.
okay.
He's under it.
I didn't know his name at the time, but it was one of the
Makes the
workers
grab.
that was
Runner
just
takes
arriving
it
at the
second.
job site.
He gets there safe
He only
at
saw
third
the
as he
last bit
moves
of
up
what
with 2
happened,
gone.
but said he recognized
So
the other
down to the
truck as
final out.
Samuel's,
Cattell
who was
Marte
another worker
digs
my
in
dad had
now,
hired a
trying
few
to
months
deliver
ago.
as the hero.
As it turned out, a bunch of tools and materials were missing from the job site, adding up to almost $10,000, and that's only from that one night.
Oh,
He
this
could have
one
been
high and
slowly
deep,
stealing a
way
few
back
things at
there.
a time over the past few
And it's
months.
off the wall. Runner from
I
third
think
comes
what happened
across.
that night,
It's
though,
1-1.
was that
In with
Samuel
a double,
thought
and
that
the
by me
go-ahead
seeing his
runs at
truck, it
second
would
with
eventually
2
all get
out.
traced back to him,
Next
and
is the
he'd get
designated
caught.
hitter,
So he
David
tried to
Justice.
stop me. I don't know
That
what he
one
would have
back
done
up
to
the
me,
middle, and it
but
gets
considering
through.
I was the
Here
only
comes the
witness,
runner. Here
it's
comes the
likely
throw.
that he wouldn't have
He
gotten
scores, and
me,
they have
as
the
long
lead.
as I was never
It's
seen
2-1.
again.
No, that
Alex
Unfortunately,
Vesia on
though,
to pitch out of
his
the pen
name
here.
and everything
Just trying to
else
keep this
didn't
one
add up
close
to
here, and
anything.
this is where a
And it was
bullpen can
likely
give their
he was
players
either
a
an
chance to
illegal
fight back
immigrant
into the game.
or some kind of
Next to
felon
hit,
that
Kent
went through the
Griffey
effort
Jr.
of getting fake or stolen
Hernandez settles
IDs
underneath
and work
it, and
documents.
that is that.
I was never expecting something like that to ever happen, but at least it's really unlikely that I'll ever see that man again.
And now it's Gavin Lux.
Now, this guy, a player that, if he gets on base, has the ability to really be
I work
aggressive
part-time
getting
at a
around
gas
the base
station in my
paths.
city. It's more on the edge of the city, near the suburbs, and overall it's just a very typical gas station. It's not super creepy or isolated or anything like that. I only really chose to work here
Bottom half of the
because when
third, and
places
they
were
bring in a
going
new
up,
pitcher,
my only
Tyler
job was
Matzik.
holding it.
Well, the best relievers
The only
love
shift I could do
opportunity
to
come
work
in
around
and
my other
protect a
schedule
tight lead
was
late in the
overnight.
ball game.
And gas
Some of
stations
them
are
are just
one of the few
wired
places
different, so
offering
we'll
those
see what he's
shifts.
got here.
Anyway, this was just
Spoils
10
the
months ago.
two-strike pitch, and he'll see another.
It was pretty cold out this night, and there was some snow on the ground still from a heavy downfall a few days ago. But other than that, the night was going
And he
pretty
deals.
typical.
Now this
Being in
one's
the suburbs,
down the
there's
line.
not a whole lot of
Hooking,
traffic
foul
going around the gas
ball.
station. It's mostly just a couple cars passing by every once in a while.
Swing and a miss, struck him
By
out.
12, only a handful of cars were
Back to
coming
the
into the
top of
gas
the
station.
Dodgers order. And now Teoscar
For a bit,
Hernandez.
I got bored enough to leave the
Swings
front
and
desk,
misses.
walk around the shop,
And that is strike
rearranging
one.
the items on the
Swing and a
shelves
miss
to
as
look
he was
nice.
late.
0-2 is the
And it
count.
was
Trying
just
to
a couple
close out
minutes
a
later,
one-run lead.
I pulled the
And
door
home team
open.
trying to pull it out.
I turned around and saw him
That
at
just
the end,
misses. And
running
the
up to
count
the
is even,
front
2-2.
desk. He leaned over the
And
counter
another ball.
and looked both ways, as if he were looking for someone to help him.
Here's a high fly ball out
Can
to
I help
center.
you with something?
If he gets under
I
it,
said as I
and
made
there's
my
two
way
away.
to the counter.
So last
The
chance
man
for the
turned and looked
Dodgers.
at me,
Now the
almost
number
as if
2
I'd
hitter,
scared him.
James out.
But then he hesitated
1-for-1 with a
before
double
saying,
and a run
"No,
scored.
I'm good," and walking out of the store. It was fairly
Here's the
obvious he
strike.
did need help with something.
0-1's
But
the
seeing
count.
that made me quickly
They're
think
down
of
to
the
their final
possible
strike.
robbery he was
No
plotting.
ball.
1-run
Did work
lead
at gas
here in the
station.
last half of the third.
So it was kind of always.
Man, he'd like to have that pitch back.
I watched the guy
And
go
a swing and a miss,
into a
and
car that
that
was
is
parked in
the
a very
ball
strange
game.
spot.
Pretty fun
Kind of
three-inning
near the
game. They got
pumps,
some
but
runs
not
on the
actually in
board,
the
but
parking
kept things
section.
close. I like this.
He
They
got
can
in
get used to
and
it.
drove
And
away.
your final score here today,
I had no way to tell if
for
he was
Chris
actually
Singleton and our
planning
entire
something,
crew. I'm John
but all
Shammy
of the
saying
signs
so long.
pointed to it. I figured maybe being behind him when he walked in and not at the counter threw him off, and somehow that was enough to deter him. Whatever happened, I was confident after a few minutes of thinking that this was definitely an attempted robbery, and I called the police to report it, just in case they were going to try a different gas station. They said an officer would come by in just a couple minutes to get a report, so I hung up and waited. But not even a minute later, that same car pulled back into the parking lot. They went right to the spot that they had parked before, then just waited there with the car on. But I was almost positive that I could see movement in both of the front seats, like there were at least 2 people in there. I quickly locked the front doors and prepared myself for what could soon happen. As I continued looking out the window, though, the car just stayed there. Nobody getting out, like they were watching or waiting for the perfect moment. Luckily, though, cops pulled in and immediately recognized the car as I described it. They pulled in behind it, blocking them in. Surprisingly, there wasn't much of a scene. The officer pretty much just walked up and then pulled 2 men out, one of which was the guy that had come in earlier. I guess they were trying to play it off like they weren't doing anything, but that didn't really work out for them. While it seemed to be straightforward what they had planned, their car showed a different, more disturbing possibility. In the trunk, there was a stash of weapons, along with rope, tape, and an assortment of similar items. Both men are behind bars, but I still feel almost traumatized after knowing what they had in the car. If I hadn't reported them after the first strange interaction, I would have been through far worse than just being robbed, and possibly would have never been seen after that night. This happened last January. I had taken a week off of work following New Year's, mostly in hopes that everyone else would be back at work by then, and I could enjoy the week without it being busy everywhere. My plans consisted of shopping around, and really just chilling at my apartment by myself. This day, I was out driving around in the snow,
Welcome
going
in,
to a few
baseball fans,
stores,
and
then made
here
my way
in
back
New
to the
York, we've
apartment
got
by 7
Diamond
p.m.
Dynasty baseball tonight.
I went
It's
inside
the
and cooled,
Drillers taking
then
on
took
the
a seat
New
on the
York
couch with some snacks
All
I
right, ready
just
to go
got.
here. Here's
I was
Ronald
watching
Acuna
TV
Jr. at the
and even
plate.
dozing off a little bit
As he
from the
turns
long
on the
day.
rubber with that good
But
live
then
arm
at some
delivery.
time,
0-1,
the
no
8th
strike.
That one way
PA
outside,
system in
and
my
we're
apartment
underway.
buzzed, meaning that someone was outside and wanting me
And
to
there's
let
a
them in the
strike.
building. I had no plans of anyone coming over, so I
The
had no
pitch.
idea who it was. They buzzed my room again, so I got up and went to the window that faced the front of the building. I tried to not lift the blinds too much, only enough for me to see
That
who
one
it was.
misses, and that's ball
At the
3.
door to the apartment building was a large man. It was still snowy out and kind of dark,
That
but
one
I could tell
misses.
he was older,
So lead
like
off walk.
mid-40s,
Now, this was a
but I had
story
never
we were
seen
paying
him
attention
before.
to before the game.
There
We've
were only
seen him
3
give
other
up walks
people
in the
living in the
past, and it's an
complex at the
issue
time,
once
so
again
I was
early
at least
on.
familiar with who lived here.
And
He
here
was
is
not
Michael
one of them.
Conforto.
I also figured that if he did live here, or was visiting one of the other people,
The go-ahead
then
run
they
moves
would
up
let
to
him in.
third. He's held there with nobody
I
out.
walked over to
Man,
the
those are
PA
the types
system
of
and
hits where
muted
you don't
it,
feel
then got
any
back to the couch
vibration in
and
your hands
continued watching
whatsoever.
TV.
Such a good
I
feeling.
really didn't
Just
put
a
any more
solid
thought
swing
into
right
it,
there.
and
Caught
even
it in
dozed
front
off
and
several times in
Runner
the
on the
next
move.
hour.
Bounce to the left
Eventually,
side.
I shut
Base
off the
hit.
TV and went to
And they
bed.
strike first
By
as
then,
they
it
take a
had to be around
1-0
10.
lead.
I fell asleep
Puts a run
just
on the
about
board
as soon
and
as
picks
I
up
laid
an
down.
RBI. I don't know how he's able to shoot that pitch the other way
Few
and
hours
still
into the
put
night,
something on it. That
my
pitch
eyes
was
shot open
inside, and he
to a
let it get
thud
really
from just
deep.
outside
So
my room.
pretty incredible hands to
It
fight
was
it off and
extremely
still
loud,
get good wood
but
on it.
having just
Ken
woken
Griffey
up to it,
Jr.
I
in the
didn't
box
know
now.
what it
Takes strike
was
one.
or exactly where it came
This
from.
might be the most pressure you put on
My
this
heart
guy
was
today. You
racing
got one
as I
run in,
stared
you got
across
to try
the
to get
room at my
another one
door,
or maybe two.
listening for anything else. It was very
Check
quiet now,
swing. Did he go?
almost
Yes,
like
he
nothing
did.
even
Great to get on
happened.
the board in the first frame of the ball
Slowly
game.
moved toward
Here's
the
an
door,
opportunity for
then
them to
leaned my
really
ear
open
against it
things
to
up with a
listen to
couple
the
of
other
runners
side.
on. Let's see if they can cash in.
It was still quiet. Nothing more than the walls
Righty
creaking
delivers.
from the building.
Wouldn't chase that
I turned
time.
the handle and looked out to the living room, not seeing anything out of the ordinary. The whole
And
place
another
was really
ball.
dark though, and for some reason, I still felt like I needed to be quiet
The
and
pitch.
not make myself known.
That
So I
ball is
left the lights
foul,
off
and the
as I
pressure
moved
is
through the living
building.
room
Definitely
and
got the
looked
hitter
down the
conscious
front
of the
hallway.
pitch inside. Really think
The
the outer
door to
half
my
is open.
apartment was
Checks
slowly
his swing.
open.
Come
Now appeal
on.
to third. Yes,
I
he
froze
did.
up, staring
Down
at
he
the
goes
open
on
doorway
strikes.
and feeling fear run through my whole body.
Here's the third
It
baseman.
almost didn't seem real. I took a few steps back, staying quiet, and made my way back toward my
Just
room.
missed.
And now on the other side of the door, I could see a huge dent in the wood right by the knob. Once I saw
Runners
it,
at first and second
and
with one
locked
gone,
it
and we're
behind
just
me,
getting
then
started here
called
at the top of the
911
first.
while hiding in the closet.
This
I
one
was
in
sure
the air,
that
right
whoever
field.
it was,
Soto
was
gets under
someone
it.
inside my apartment still, and it would
Pulls
only
it
be a
in,
matter of
and there's
time
two away.
before they get into my room. But as I waited for the
So
police,
first and
the
second with two
apartment
outs.
stayed silent.
Jordan Lawler getting ready to hit.
Whoever broke into my apartment was gone. Even the
On the
police
mark there,
didn't find
and it's
anything
1-0.
to help in finding them.
1-0.
Two outs, couple of base
What
runners at
they
first
think
and
happened
second.
is the intruder tried buzzing all the other rooms as well, until
Slice
one of
the
them
other
was
way
nice
and
enough to
foul.
let him
Pretty good pitch to
in.
take
Once
a
he was in
pass
the main
at
stairwell,
in a 1-0
it's not
count.
really clear
Just not
why
able
he
to
chose
put
to
it
go
up.
for my room.
Ground ball up
Maybe
the
they
middle.
thought it was empty.
Torres. They get the force.
What's really
They
strange
limit the
is the
damage.
dent on my bedroom door,
John Birdie
which
at the
was
plate.
likely the source of the thud, up to. But it was just one single hit. Not looking like a real attempt at breaking the door down, but more like something
And
out
here
of
it
frustration before he left.
Pitch misses.
I still
Ball
live in the
one.
same apartment, and nothing else has happened. Who it was and what they wanted is
Base hit
unknown.
right field. Slides, but it gets by him.
I work for a company that sells bulk products out of a
Showed
small
a willingness to
warehouse.
drive that pitch the opposite way.
Sometimes the
Didn't
products
get
we get
jumpy,
in
didn't
are
try
pretty
to pull the
expensive,
ball.
so I
That
was
one
hired
is
as a
absolutely
security
Man,
guard
Brandon
for
Webb
the
is
late hours
ass,
Off the
dude.
and
wall.
most of the
Should
night.
be extra bases.
Being a small
Runner around
warehouse,
third, on
there's
his
not
way
too
to
much
the
need to
plate.
walk around the
He
place
throws
for me.
offline. He's
I
safe.
spend most of my
You're
time in
This
the
will be his
office,
last game.
looking at a bunch of
I'm gonna take him
5K
15.
updates. During my first
Really?
3 years, I've never had a
It
single
won.
incident. No
Here
people
is
ever
Aaron
came by at
Judge.
strange hours.
That one's in
No
there.
attempted
And it's
break-ins.
0-1.
Nothing. It made for a boring job.
And
It
ball
left me
one
mostly
to
unaware
Judge.
every night, even though it was basically my job
Swings
to
through
be
that
aware.
one.
This guy at the dish
One ball.
excels in two-strike
Pulled into the
counts.
small
Got to be
parking
careful
lot,
with him out there
parked
on the
in the
mound.
front door
In
next to
the air to
Clark,
left
the only other
center.
worker that was
No
still there.
trouble here. Puts it away
When
for
I
the
got
out.
inside,
And
I
there's
let him
one
know I
down.
was there, and he left shortly after.
Juan Soto down.
I checked all the doors and
he's
made
one
sure
of
the
most
systems
impressive
were
young
working
players I've seen
properly.
in recent
Then
years.
I sat back
Well,
at
no
the
question
office
about it.
and
His
stared at
future
the
is
screens.
very bright. The city,
My attention
the
span died
organization,
out after
both are excited about him.
pulled
He
my
has a
phone
lot
out.
to look forward to.
I still made sure to check the cameras every 30 seconds or so, but every glance back at the
When you
screens
think about
showed
it,
no
he may be in
differences.
the league for the next 10 or 15
And then
years.
just a couple minutes before 1 a.m.,
On the ground,
the
right
system
side.
made a beep
Chisholm.
sound.
They get the out
I
on
only ever
Soto.
heard it during the initial tests I do at the
And
beginning
here
of my
is
shifts,
Giancarlo
so this
Stanton.
was the first time I actually had something
First
come
pitch
up.
doesn't find the zone.
After a quick look at the
Torres on
alert,
third with
there was
two
a
out.
motion detection of a person walking by the building. It took a few tries to find
Next
the right
offering
camera,
is down
but
low.
on the back side of the building, a man was walking
Swing
right
and
on
a
the edge
miss.
of where the parking lot
As he
meets
was out
the
front that
roads.
time.
He had a thick hoodie on
And another
and was
ball.
too far to see exactly what he looked
Two
like.
outs.
The direction he was
Battling here as
walking
he
in
fouls it
wasn't
away.
really toward anywhere.
And a payoff
I mean, that's why I've
pitch.
never gotten because our building is too far
In comes the runner from
anyone
third.
for
It's
a reason
2-1.
to walk or drive by it. I watched this man go down to the end of the
Mission
parking lot,
accomplished there as he
switching
picks up the
cameras to keep
RBI
track
to
of
give him the
him.
lead. Once you
But
get the
then
ball
he
by the
stopped
pitcher, there's a
for
lot
just
of
a
base
moment
hits up the
and
middle,
looked
even on
toward the
ground
building.
balls. So a nice job
He
to
turned
use
his
that
head
deep
back
ball
and
and get
forth,
himself a hit.
looking across the whole
No
side,
balls, 2
then
strikes.
started to walk onto the pavement and toward the side of the building.
Settles under this one.
Immediately, it went from
He's
just
got
odd
it. And
to
that'll do it.
possibly something I'd have to report
Welcome
on.
back, and we've got a new arm on the mound to start
The
the
man
second.
walked along
Caleb
the side,
Ferguson.
looking at every
Leading
door
off,
he came
Ethan
across,
Salas.
but not trying anything. He would just
Swing
kind
and
of
a
look
miss.
around
It's
and then
0-1.
move on.
Pitch
0-1.
started in and
Once he got
ended
to the
up on
corner,
the
he
outside
went
edge,
around
just
to the
changing
front
planes.
and
And
then
very
went right
difficult.
up to the main
Usually
door.
for a left-handed hitter to track.
I watched from the cameras as he knocked on the door and heard it echo from inside the building.
And
He
a
got
swing
off
and
the
a
chair
miss.
and opened the
And
office
that's the
door
first out.
slowly,
Oh, she went
looking
in
down the
Jazz
hallway
Gio.
Jr.
and seeing
now.
the man standing behind the entrance doors. I don't think he could see me through the glare on the posts.
Oh, she
So I
playing
stood
with
in
you?
the doorway
Bring it
and
here.
just watched him for a moment. He was trying to look through.
Bring
and
it to me,
knocked on the
Harmony.
door again. I went
One
into
down,
the
base is
office and
empty.
placed on the speaker button
Swings
that
and
allowed me to
misses.
talk to them outside. This is a private location.
Bring it to me, Harmony. Hey,
I watched on the cameras.
bring it here.
The man looked up at the speaker. He looked like he was going to say something,
For you?
but then he frowned and turned.
You're the fat girl. She brings it to me. Bring it here. Bring it here. Give it to me. Give it to me.
Watch it.
Give it here.
Reaction to this man.
Give it here.
I looked closer, noticing he was keeping one hand.
You gotta be careful when playing with her, though.
Making me think this would be far more dangerous than I initially thought. I
Go
contacted
get it. Go get it. Go get the other one, Ghost. It should be in the bedroom right out there.
I walked back into the hallway and looked down while I talked to the dispatcher. The man suddenly pulled something
Get
out
here.
of his pocket and slammed it against the
You bringing
door.
it to me too, Ghost?
I couldn't see what it was.
Bring it here, Ghost.
It sounded big. I knew it was
They both like
something
to stay. Get it, Ghosty.
that he was
Get it,
trying to
Ghosty.
break the glass with. I rushed back into the office.
Get it, Ghosty.
Giving a few more hits as I locked the heavy door behind me. Then I quickly looked
Get
back.
it, Ghost.
By then, the man had given up.
Get it, Ghost. Get it. Get it, Ghost.
Seconds, he was completely out of sight of any of the
Didn't he? She's look. He gave it back to you. He said, "Play with
As I
me."
waited for the police to arrive,
Tell her, Ghost. Play with it. He said, "Take it, mommy." Bring it here, Ghost. I'll play with you. Bring it here. Ghost, bring it here. Ghost, bring it to me.
We got a full report on it, but so far,
Give it here.
decent footage of
Give it here.
he hasn't been identified. We also don't know what he was intending to do once he got in. So he made it obvious after hearing my voice that he did not care that I was inside. But from the partial crack formed on the door, he was likely just a few hits away from shattering it. And then I would have been
Take it to
forced
mommy.
find
Take it to
out
mommy,
the
Ghost.
man's true intentions.
Didn't he? Look at him. Yeah. He's like, "What? You want to come get some?" He was chewing on it, looking at you. Look at mommy. How much of the one you got left? Oh, so you ain't even smoking it?
I'm a former Target employee and worked at the clothing department.
Oh, former Target employee.
I worked there for 7 months. And I liked working there.
Trying to get a job.
It was a good job, and most of the coworkers, as well as customers, were nice.
If I go for that
One ball, one
And it's
strike.
1-1.
They drug test you?
Smash to center, way back, and you can forget it. Home
Just in
run.
case. I know tomorrow before I start
That
cutting
one
grass, I'm
felt
gonna get high.
good,
I'm
and
gonna get out there and be
we
high
are
cutting
tied.
grass.
It's 2-2. Now a chance for
The only thing
Willie
that sucks
McCovey.
about
In the air, center field.
that lawnmower
Drops into
is
the
that
glove,
you know how some
and there's
lawnmowers
two
that when you
down.
get up it'll turn off.
And here is
You
Ronald
know, if you don't have your
Acuna
ass on
Jr.
the seat, that one, if it flips over, it's gonna keep running.
Swing it a foul straight
Well, they
back.
disconnected the thing. I I don't know.
And now the lefty comes
Not
up
at all.
empty. That's strike 2. 2 down, nobody on. Here at the top of the second. Next one in the dirt.
She was messing with you in there?
Kicks and deals. Good job to fight that one off. The pitch. And another ball.
This guy's a fun guy to watch taking at bat. He just
What's wrong?
battles up there. He doesn't take a pitch off at all. Makes it so difficult.
Lays out. He's got it. Back here in New York, ready to go for the last half.
I think they need
New pitcher on now, Edwin Diaz.
Power slider guy, Boog. He throws it hard and gets a lot of late movement, so it's tough to pick up.
Under it is Acuna to make the grab. And there's one down. Here's Alex Verdugo.
Woo, he was all over that first.
They said, you say go to bed, you going to bed.
Barely missed it. Man, this guy was ready to hit.
Line drive, that's a base hit. So a man aboard now with one away.
Well,
There
that
was
may
one
end up
coworker
being an at
that
bat
had
we
some
go back
problems
to
with.
later on when this game
Her
is
foot's
over.
your foot looking any better?
Next to me. Over time, I got to know him a little bit. Not that well, though. There's a lot of turnover at a store like Target, but also many employees that stick around. So the people in all departments that worked there for most of the time that I did, I either recognized or got to know. I only spoke to Ed briefly once or twice for the first several months. I was much closer with many other coworkers. But one time, I was taking my break. I was by myself in the break room. I think it was a little bit later at night, and that's why nobody else was in there. Well, just a couple of minutes after I got there, Ed entered and then started talking to me. He was friendly for the most part and asked me some things about myself, and I was friendly back to him. But then,
I didn't know about her. She
in
said
the
something.
conversation, he asked if I wanted to hang out with him and suggested that he could come over to my house. Now, I really didn't want to hang out with him, but I especially didn't want him coming over. I said I didn't think that I could, and then I changed the subject because it was kind of awkward. We talked for the rest of my break. Well, it was mostly Ed talking. I was just listening. Finally, I was back to work. I didn't really see Ed for the rest of the shift.
It always looks like this at this time of night, this time of the
Ed
day.
started to talk to me more and more. He would go out of his way to see me, and he asked me again if he could come over to my house. He was starting to be a bit of a creep, to be honest with you. After that, though, I kind of stopped seeing him. I didn't really think about it until I heard that he had been fired. I didn't get any details on why he had been fired or exactly when. I also didn't really give it that much thought, other than realizing that he wouldn't be talking to me anymore. So for the next week or so, work went on as usual. But one day, I was not at work, but back home in my apartment. I got a text message from Ed. At first, I didn't know who it was, because I didn't recognize the number. I did not have Ed's number, but I was part of a large Target group chat with a bunch of us coworkers. Anybody in it.
What do you mean she act crazy?
And I guess Ed was still a part of it. He texted
Oh yeah,
me
she
saying that it was
gets.
him, and told me
She's
that
a
he was going
hyper
to
ass dog.
my house. I was thinking, what's up with this guy and going to my house? I texted him back saying, please don't come to my house, Ed. It was nice to work with you at Target, but I don't think we should hang out. I expected him to understand, but apparently he didn't. Now, he didn't respond to what I said, so I wasn't sure if he was mad or not, or if he even read it. But a few hours went by, and that night I was still at home. I lived by myself in my apartment, which was on the first floor of my building. It was probably like 9 o'clock at night when Ed texted me back finally. He said that he was at my house. When I read those words, I instantly started sweating, and my heart began racing. How did he know where I lived? Was he really at my house? I started to text back, but didn't know what to say. I went over to my door and looked out the peephole into the hallway. Nobody was there. Maybe he was at my apartment, but not in the building yet. I looked out of my back window as well and didn't see anything. I hoped that he wasn't actually there, but it was a really strange thing to say if he wasn't. Finally, I texted back, telling Ed that I wasn't at home. I thought that maybe that would make him leave if he was here, or deter him from coming over if he wasn't. But he responded by saying, "Yes, you are.
No, that's a
I saw
really
you."
dangerous base runner
When I
to put
read that
on
text,
first,
I started
especially in a
looking
tie
around
game.
like a paranoid
Now there
person.
might be some
My mind was
consequences coming
racing.
from that mistake.
I was thinking crazy thoughts, like maybe he was already inside of my house, hiding under my bed or something. But he wasn't. I looked in all of my rooms.
Back in New York,
I then texted
as
him
we
back,
go
asking
to
him
the
where he
last
was.
of the third.
He
And
responded by
stepping in
saying,
for the
"At my
Yankees,
house."
Aaron Judge.
I was confused by this,
Strike one.
and I looked out of the
No
peephole
fair
in the
right
windows
there.
again without seeing
That
him.
slider
Earlier,
didn't
I
go
Dad
started
and
to
to
think
the
that
last
maybe he was
moment.
just joking.
Incredibly difficult to
At
pick
least
that
Well,
up.
that's what I was
should I
trying to
say gear?
convince
On that
myself.
pitch.
I went back over to my peephole again and looked out of it.
For the K.
I was looking out of it for like a minute straight, but still, nobody was there. I turned around, and then I saw him. He was standing on my patio, right outside of my sliding door, and looking in. I screamed like crazy and then ran from my bedroom. I locked myself inside of it and then called the police. A few moments later, I heard him knocking on my sliding door.
And that one fouled
I got
off.
another text from Ed telling me to let him in and asking me why I screamed.
Good
I
eye
ignored
right
it,
there.
told the
Well, he's
911
not afraid
dispatcher
to
what the situation
call it a
was.
two-strike count. Knows
They
the
told me
strike
that an
zone very
officer
well,
would
so
be there
much
shortly.
so that I think
Ed
umpires
then
will
tried
look at
calling
him
me,
and
but I
determine
didn't
whether
answer
it's a ball
and
or
ignored
strike
it.
if he swings or
He
not.
texted me
Would've
several more
chased that
times,
time.
and I put my phone down because I didn't even want to look at it.
Down looking.
It was then that I started to hear a loud banging coming from my sliding door.
Stanton batting
He
for the
really
second
wanted me to
time,
let him in.
and that's strike one.
This went on for the next several minutes. It honestly felt like forever. At
This
last, the
guy's
police
got good
arrived.
power with
I
one
heard
swing.
Ed talking
He
with
can
them
win it for
loudly,
him.
and I left the bathroom.
Welcome back, and now
I
on the
soon
mound to
saw
start.
him talking with
So
officers,
digging in,
and they eventually
Jordan
got him
Lawler.
to leave.
Then
Then I spoke with the officers, and I told my side of the story. Ed ended up getting trespassed from my apartment's property, and he was told not to come back. Luckily, I haven't seen him since then. I haven't heard from him either. Obviously, I blocked his number and stuff.
He's clearly
Hopefully,
trying to
I
work
never
him
hear
away
from
here.
him
Both
again.
pitches off the plate. If you really want to put the ball in play, you're going to have to stay back and drive
One of
it
the
to the
scariest
opposite
moments
field.
of my life happened when I went to Target last year.
Stringy.
I went there one
Yeah.
night to do some normal grocery shopping. There's a Target not that far at all from where I live.
I need a
So I
real
go
rope,
there almost
like a
weekly.
real one that doesn't have
So
that
I
has
got
the
there
end as a
sometime at
ball.
night. I don't recall exactly when.
In the
I
air,
went
out
inside, got a
towards
cart, and then
left
started getting
center.
my items. I
Brings
was
it
inside
in.
of the store,
Runner
probably
tagging
for about
third.
20 minutes
Here's the
shopping
throw,
at least.
and he makes it up to
And
third
I finally
with one
checked
away.
out and left the store.
Here's the catcher,
Headed back
Ethan
to my car,
Salas.
which I had parked not even
Struck
that
out
far
on just
away.
3 pitches
But when
last
I
time.
arrived at my vehicle, which is a pretty normal sedan,
And he
something
swings over
happened.
the top there.
I was behind it and about to go around and put the groceries in the back seat. That's when I saw somebody looking at me through the back window from inside my car. It was a man. I didn't see him well at all because he ducked down less than a second after I saw him. I freaked out and left the cart there and went running back inside of the Target. After making it back inside, I dialed 911 to call the police. I told them that somebody was inside my car at the Target, and I waited inside the store for the police to arrive. It took probably less than 5 minutes for them to get there, but in the meantime, when I was waiting, I was standing just a little ways inside of the Target near the first aisle.
Really
As
good
I was
take,
waiting for the
especially 2
police,
strikes.
I was sure that I saw the guy that was in my car enter the store. He immediately walked to the right and didn't appear to notice me. I wasn't 100% sure, because like I said, I only saw him for probably less than a second inside my car window, but I was probably about 80% sure. I went down one of the aisles in case he was looking for me or something. A short time later, the police arrived. I went out of the store with them, and we checked my vehicle. Whoever was inside of it was now gone, but my doors were all unlocked. I must have somehow forgot to lock them when I went inside of Target. I didn't have anything inside my car worth stealing, though. I usually kept it pretty empty and clean. Still, what was a random man doing inside of my car? I had never seen him before. I gave his description to the police, and I also let them know that I thought I saw him inside Target. I made it clear that I wasn't 100% sure, but I was pretty certain that it was him. And it made me think that it was more likely to be him after knowing he wasn't in my car.
Oh, but they could
He had
have
dark hair
still
and
unlocked
sort of
it.
short, wearing a tan t-shirt and jeans. He also appeared to be pretty young, in probably his 20s or maybe early 30s. The police told me that they would go to his
No.
pocket and see if he was still
So
there.
you saying lock the door from the outside and look in there?
Maybe 5 or 10 more minutes. Another officer said they did not locate the man inside Target, and figured that he must have left. They said they would take one more look around the store, and I could go home if I wanted to. At that moment, I finally left to drive home.
She ran inside and called the
Now, where I go
police.
to is near a lot of other stores. But the way that I
Because there's a
got
man in the car.
to the side of Target. Then I go down this plan that leads to more stores about a quarter mile down the road. When I was driving
You
down
want them
that
people
road,
that get
I
snatched
saw this
up.
guy randomly walking alongside of it. It was weird because there was no sidewalk there, and it wasn't very well lit, so you wouldn't really expect people to walk along it. Just seconds later is when I realized it was the same guy. As I was approaching
Same
him,
guy
he
followed her
turned and
home.
saw me. That's when he bolted out onto the street suddenly. It was like he was running towards me, and I veered to the right to avoid him. I wasn't going very fast, but luckily he didn't get to me, and I was able to successfully get around him. Then I sped away from him as he stood in the road. No other cars were nearby, and I got out my phone and called the police to report the guy. After that, I was finally able to make it back home okay. Looking back, I still can't believe that it happened. I avoided that Target for weeks after the events. Finally, I was able to go back, and I still shop
That's
there
where she
sometimes.
seen him.
Nothing like that has happened, and I haven't seen the guy either.
See?
I'm hoping that whoever he was, the police found him, or he stopped his wild behavior.
I seen the Target one where this guy he saw a dude that looked suspicious in general. Then
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome. Diamond. And here is Ronald Acuna Jr. The wind of the pitch. And a swing and a miss.
0-1's the count.
Ball one there.
These kids' parents.
High in the air, out to right. Stanton is there. Makes the grab, one down. Michael Conforto will climb in, and he's currently the team leader in batting average, Chris.
Michael Conforto.
And the first pitch misses for ball one. One out, bases empty. Right side, Birdie. Sends it to first, and they got him. And the batter now, David Justice. Obviously a guy who makes good contact, hits for average, but one of the things in today's game, the value in the fact that he hits both righties and lefties. And now maybe extra bases. Around first and hustling for second. And that's a double. And in scoring position with 2 away. Stepping in, the long ball threat, Ken Griffey Jr. Swinging a foul over the screen and back out of play.
History Hero Kick around. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and share this episode with a fellow history lover.
Davin.
The Old West was a
Yeah.
dangerous place. Finding oneself
She said, was anybody watching me? I said, Davin.
could.
Who else would I be talking to?
Death. Disaster.
I want.
Tonight, join us with Hero Kick around for 10
Oh,
terrifying
I
stories.
wasn't talking on
Some
the phone.
possible ways to die.
Back
The
at
Old
Yankee
West.
Stadium, John Birdie at the
Get beat
plate.
up then.
As the lefty gets to work.
Northern Wyoming,
Middle.
Pretty
September
sure.
1st, 1866.
One gone.
As
bottom
battle
half of
cries
the
and
first.
screams of
Said
agony
extra
ring out
short.
around him, 32-year-old Adolf Metzger is in a desperate fight for his
And a
life.
foul ball
Comes
left
back into
side.
the scarcely discernible shelter of a crevice amidst the field of boulders, the young German-born immigrant fights ferociously, swinging his weapon with all of his might as guttural exhortations fly unconsciously from his lips. His attackers, who have all but laid waste to his comrades, are a collection of Lakota, Cheyenne, and Arapaho warriors, hundreds strong,
Stays alive.
fighting under the command of the legendary Red Cloud. They wield bows, arrows, lances, knives, and tomahawks, and advance upon their ensconced glory with the myopic fury of a hungry pride of lions. Metzger, for his part, wields only a small brass instrument, a bugle, that he desperately swings as dozens of lances and arrows parade his position.
Kicks and
Random
fires.
passerby,
That
this
one is absolutely
is
belted.
curious, if not slightly comical,
Uh-huh.
were it not for the deadly serious consequences of the fight at hand.
Oh, talking about for the story this
As
week?
curious as the sight might
I
be,
didn't know what it
it
was.
is anything but a
In there
random
at the
encounter.
knees. And it's
Adolf
0-1.
Metzger is a soldier in the United States Army, serving in the 2nd Cavalry Regiment, C Company.
Out towards
At
right
5
center
feet 8
field.
inches tall, with brown hair and blue eyes, he cuts a similar figure to many of his comrades, who now lie cold in death around his position. He serves as the company bugler,
Well, you can come with the story for this week.
radio communication. Metzger's job is to belt out the appropriate tunes on the bugle to denote
There's a
attacks,
strike on the
retreats,
outside.
No, I'm
and
not.
various maneuvers. The U.S. Army has determined that buglers need both hands free in order to properly execute their duties,
Top of the
and
second.
thus,
Here's the third
the only
baseman,
weapon that
number
Metzger has
22.
left is the diminutive
Line to
brass
kick the
instrument,
pitch.
with which he now makes a desperate last stand.
Well, after scoring runs,
So
this
he
is where
now
you're looking for
stands
that
here
shutdown
incurring the
inning, get that
consequences of the
hot
United
team
States
back in there
government's
serving the
repeated
bats.
offenses against the
Next
Northern
offering is
Plains
foul
nations. Metzger is but a poor
Left-hand
soldier,
batter waits.
at the mercy of his commanders and
And
his
there's a
duty.
ball.
6 months earlier, in June of 1866, the 2nd Cavalry, under the command of Colonel Henry
Swinging
E.
a foul
Carrington,
straight back.
had ridden out of Fort Laramie in what is today southeastern Wyoming and into what is known as the
And
Powder
another
River
ball.
country, with orders to protect immigrants traveling on the Bozeman Trail. A treaty had been agreed to with most of the powerful Northern Plains
Punch
nations
out
in
there.
1851,
And one gone.
including the Cheyenne,
Now it's the
Lakota,
shortstop, Jordan
Arapaho,
Lawler.
Assiniboine, Mandan, Hidatsa,
First
and
pitch
Crow
doesn't find the
tribes.
zone.
Signed in the very
The
fort
Yankees
Carrington had
trying
ridden
to
out of,
protect a
it is
two-run
known
High
as the
five.
lead at
Fort
the top of
Laramie
the
Treaty of
second. Next
1851.
pitch is outside.
The treaty had designated this area in the Powder River country as belonging to the Crow tribe, and guaranteed it immunity from incursion by either rival tribes or American settlers. However, a decade and a half of dwindling buffalo herds and increasing
That one
encroachment
fouled
from
off, 2-2.
westbound immigrants has driven the Sioux, Cheyenne,
The wind
and
and
Arapaho
pitch.
into more and more desperate
It's
straits.
possible today, it said.
With the lack of trustworthiness exhibited by the United States government, the mighty Red Cloud has gathered a formidable army of highly
Swinging a
motivated
ground ball to the
warriors,
middle. That's a base
not only
hit.
on
So a man aboard now with one away.
Here's how every MLB team got its
Really
name.
nice job
First
staying
on
up
our
the
list
middle
is
with
the
his
Atlanta
approach. He didn't try
Braves.
to do too
The
much.
team
Caleb
stakes a
Ferguson
strong
gets the
claim
ball
on the
now.
title of the longest
Here's the
continuously
catcher to
playing
hit.
American
Ethan
professional
Salas.
sports team. Founded in 1871, the team came into existence
First
after the
pitch
first
misses.
fully professional team, the Cincinnati Red Stockings, dissolved in 1870. Then player, manager, and 3 others moved to Boston to help start a new team as the Boston Red
This one
Stockings,
in the air.
borrowing the
Fergie
uniforms
has this one
and the name
sized
from
up.
the Cincinnati-based team.
Pulls it
This new
down
team
and
was a
makes it
founding
catch.
member of the National Association of Professional Baseball Players, or simply the
Chisholm
National
Jr. now.
Association. In fact, the Braves remain one of 2 teams still in existence from that original NAPBB. That was a mouthful. In 1876, the National League, which would become one of the 2 halves of Major League Baseball, replaced the National Association. At this point, our team was referred to as the Boston Red Caps because of another already existing team in the National League named the Cincinnati Red Stockings, taking the original name from that original Cincinnati team. Another nickname they picked up along the way in 1883 was the Boston Bean Eaters, probably paying tribute to those delicious pork and molasses Boston baked beans. In 1901, the Boston Americans, we'll get to them later, set up shop across town and started a decade-long drought of poor seasons for our red-capped, red-stocking Bean Eaters. In 1907, the owner ditched the Red Stockings, literally, and all of the other nicknames and renamed the team the Boston Doves. However, still struggling on the field, the team tried out another nickname, the Boston Rustlers, in 1911, before finally settling on the Boston Braves in 1912. Braves was chosen after the owner, James Gaffney, who was a member of a political organization called Tammany Hall. Tammany Hall was named after a leader of the Lenape people, Tammany, and members of the organization were called Braves. The term Braves is reference to Native Americans and comes from the long history of violent conflict starting with European settlement and continuing through the 19th century with U.S. expansion further west. The Native American warriors were often referred to as Braves. In order to fully understand the depth, history, atrocities, complex feelings, and everything that comes with using Native Americans as mascots in sports is definitely beyond the scope of this video, and not something I would ever claim to be an expert in, but this is how the name came about, so do with that information what you will. P.S. This won't be the last time that this comes up. After a failed attempt to avoid money problems by signing Babe Ruth for the 1935 season, new ownership changed the team name from the Braves to the Boston Bees. And another ownership change in 1941 prompted the name change back to the Boston Braves. But this did little to change their fortunes. In 1953, the team relocated to Milwaukee, becoming the Milwaukee Braves. In Milwaukee, the Braves had success both on the field and financially. Their success actually inspired 3 other teams on our list to relocate as well. In fact, this team was so successful that their entire time in Milwaukee, they never had a losing season. Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end. The team was sold in 1962, and the new owner immediately wanted to move the team to a bigger TV market. Finally, in 1966, and much to the dismay of the city of Milwaukee, the Braves moved to Atlanta, becoming the Atlanta Braves that we know today. The Chicago Cubs started life as an experimental team with only a handful of contests to test the appetite for baseball in Chicago, and they were called the Chicago White Stockings. White Stockings was chosen as the team name originally because of the white uniforms that the players wore. With most teams of this time period, the nicknames weren't really official, and generally they were picked by the sports journalists that were covering the game. The most popular names stuck. After a successful test in 1870, the White Stockings became a fully professional team, joining the National Association for their inaugural season in 1871. Despite starting in the National Association at the same time as the Atlanta Braves, the Chicago Cubs comes in at number 2 on our list because they did not play for 2 years after the 1871 Chicago Fire. In the early days, the most prominent player for the White Stockings was Cap Anson. He played for 21 seasons with Chicago, 18 of which he was also the team's manager. Because of his propensity for trading away star players for younger, stronger players, by 1890 the team became the Chicago Colts. Now, when Anson left the club, the Sad Sports franchise felt abandoned and was left with a roster full of a bunch of young players nobody had ever heard of. The most popular names during this time period were the Chicago Remnants and the Chicago Orphans. And while both of those nicknames were popularly used, they slowly fell out of favor as a new nickname emerged, the Chicago Cubs. Cubs was a more playful and hopeful outlook on a young team that would set the foundation for one of the most recognizable American sports franchises. Much better choice than the Orphans. After losing his baseball team, the Cincinnati Red Stockings, in 1871, and seeing them essentially become the Boston Braves, the city of Cincinnati again lost a second team that was also called the Cincinnati Red Stockings in 1880. Now, a third iteration of the Cincinnati Red Stockings began playing in the American Association in 1882. In 1890, the Red Stockings moved permanently to the National League, and it was at this time that the team dropped their stockings, metaphorically, and became known as the Cincinnati Reds. And that would be the end of this section if it wasn't for just one slight detour. You see, this is where we get sidetracked from a great baseball name. It's a few years after World War II, and people are freaking out about communism. Well, one person in particular is freaking out about communism. The eventually disgraced and officially censured Wisconsin Senator Joe McCarthy. McCarthyism, also known as the Red Scare, was a period of time in American history where we collectively lost our minds and started attacking our fellow citizens, calling them communists and socialists, and trying to use those attacks to score political points. Whew, I'm so thankful that it's not like that today. So because of this Red Scare, The Cincinnati Reds changed their names in 1954 to the Cincinnati Redlegs. Thankfully for all of us, the name change never caught on, and in 1959, the team returned to being the Cincinnati Reds.
And welcome in,
In
everybody.
1882, the Pittsburgh Pirates were founded in the neighboring city of Allegheny as the Allegheny Baseball Club of Pittsburgh. Since that's a really long name, hey, you have coffee?
Yeah, well, it's already 10 o'clock in the morning. We drink coffee at 10 o'clock in the morning where I come from.
First pitch coming
I'll
at
take a
you right
cold
after
beer
the break.
instead.
Okay, all set to
You know,
go.
kind of seems that my
Here's
stomach is
Ronald
rumbling a
Acuna
little bit.
Jr. at the plate.
I'll have another cold beer.
Hey, you
The pitch. And that's down and away. And that one missing low.
Got to be real careful here, too.
Ladies and
He's
gentlemen,
under his pitch.
welcome into a rankings
And that one lifted in the air
extravaganza where
center
I rank
field.
every
Judge is
single
there.
MLB stadium. Well, not
Nabs it.
technically every
One
MLB
away.
stadium, but most
That'll
stadiums.
be Michael
65
Conforto.
different stadiums throughout the years. The real only ones I'm not ranking are the ones from like
Got some to chase after
1900,
that one.
1897, that really aren't even stadiums. I can't even properly rank them. But we're going to start with number 65 and work our way down. And the worst stadium in MLB history has to be Exhibition Stadium, a total travesty. They considered it multi-purpose stadium up in Canada. I don't know what they're talking about. This thing, this is literally a football field, and they said, let's just throw a baseball diamond on top of it and just let's see what happens, because there's no movement from any of the seats. They played here, the Toronto Blue Jays played here 12 years, and you just look at the entire right field area, there's nothing there. You know, the seats extend past center field. It's disgusting. It's grotesque. It's the worst stadium in MLB history. I don't know how anyone played here. I could understand it, you know, maybe a year, 2 years as your new stadium gets built. That's understandable. I get it. But to play here for over a decade, that is disgusting, ladies and gentlemen. Exhibition Stadium is the worst stadium in MLB history. At number 64, it is the Kingdome. Some words to describe the Kingdome: filth, disgust, mold, absolutely embarrassing. The Kingdome, just so, it just looks like a damp, disgusting place looking at it. It's got the massive upper deck. It's dark, it's grimy, there's zero natural light. The exterior looks like a giant, oversized, circular coffin, as most stadiums of that era did. But the Kingdome, just horribly bad. And really what separates Kingdome from some of the other domes, like the Metrodome, is just the interior design and just the bleak, dark look to it. I feel like I would get diagnosed with depression just stepping in this place, looking at the interior lighting setup of it. It's very, very sad. And of course, it comes in as the second worst stadium in MLB history at number 64. At number 63, you know, I decided to throw this little Easter egg in. It's LA Memorial Coliseum. They only played here for a few years, and the Coliseum is still around today. It just got a renovation a few years ago. But yeah, the Coliseum for baseball, I'll be honest, I did find some photos of the Coliseum during the few years that they played there, you know, while they were waiting for Dodger Stadium to be built. And there were a lot of people at some of the games. It's shocking, but, you know, the Coliseum with the capacity of it for baseball, it's just terrible. And it is kind of like Exhibition Stadium to where there's no change in terms of the seating. It's not multi-purpose. It is a football stadium that they just said, you know what, we'll make it a baseball stadium for a few years. They had to throw a giant net up in left field because it was only like 250 feet to the wall, and it would be too easy to hit a home run. So the Memorial Coliseum comes in at number 63. At number 62, it is Sun Life Stadium, and whatever that seat color is, what is that, like a fire orange? It's like a fire and orange color, the upper deck. It is ingrained in my memory. Every game at Sun Life Stadium, the Florida Marlins, it's just a wall of empty seats. It's a terrible multi-purpose stadium. There's no other way around it. It's a giant rectangle wheel of death, and it comes in at number 62. It's at number 61. It is the first cookie cutter. It is Riverfront Stadium. So
Why do I think Riverfront Stadium is the worst?
Swing and a miss as
I don't know. It's very subjective. I just always got such a bad feel about Riverfront Stadium. Like, for whatever reason, it just looks worse than all the other cookie cutters, and it's right next to the river. The river looks disgusting. I'm sorry, just looking at it right next to it. The interior of it, you can see. There's nothing, I guess, horrifically bad about it, but I always just thought it was the most ugly thing. And then, by the way, when they built Great American Ballpark, they had to cut up some of, like, the outfield seating, so they actually opened up the stadium, but it was kind of just like a half-done renovation. You can still see, like, the line where they cut, and it just looks so bad. I'm sorry. So Riverfront Stadium for me comes in at 61 on my MLB Stadium list. At number 60, it is Jari Park Stadium. Believe it or not, this stadium was used for 7 years by the Expos as they built Olympic Stadium. But yeah, Jari Park was just terrible. It was basically an extension minor league stadium, but I do have to say, I moved it up a few spots because of the pool. You got it. You give it a few bonus points. Yes, the bonus points. Jari Park Stadium. It moves up a little bit. At number 59, it is Qualcomm Stadium, another multi-purpose one. I guess you could say this one, before they totally enclosed it, it wasn't that bad. The problem, it becomes multi-purpose, they fully enclose the thing, and it's just a dungeon, and the entire upper deck. I mean, you don't need that much seating for MLB games, folks. Let's be real, they're not in that high demand. Qualcomm Stadium. And also, this stadium was just so boring. There was just nothing good about this stadium in San Diego. You think San Diego was a beautiful place, and they play in this dungeon, this multi-purpose dungeon the Padres do. They get Petco Park. Petco Park is obviously a lot higher on this list, but Qualcomm Stadium comes in at number 59. At number 58, it's got to be the Oakland Coliseum. We finally got a modern stadium. I guess this is pretty early in the rankings at number 58. You've got Mount Davis. You've got all the foul territory. You've got the weird combustion of seats in right and left field. It's just a bunch of random sections thrown together. And then, of course, my favorite part, located in right and left field, the stairs that lead to nothing. Literally, they lead to a wall. Because you gotta love multi-purpose stadiums, and you gotta love the Oakland Coliseum. Very likely it will be demolished. Honestly, guys, the Oakland Coliseum should have been demolished about 5 or 6 years ago, but because nothing's happened with the A's in terms of them moving or building a new stadium, it's still breathing, and it might be breathing until 2027. It's a miracle. It's like we've given it. It's like the Oakland Coliseum has the cure for cancer, because they've been given something. They had an illness when they built Mount Davis, but now they've cured themselves, and they're still alive somehow. It's like the Oakland Coliseum is the equivalent to a person that's 195 years old. How is this thing still living? It's amazing, but it's a terrible stadium, folks. And it comes in at number 58. At number 57, it's Arlington Stadium. Honestly, this could have been lower. They call it the frying pan, and it's not just because you burnt out in the Arlington sun. It's also because it quite literally looks like a frying pan. There is nothing to this stadium. It's the most boring thing I've ever seen in my life. It is terrible. And not only is it boring, but you also fry, and it's just bleacher seats. It looks disgusting. It comes in at number 57 on my list. At number 56, Veterans Stadium. You know what? I like the renovation that they did Veterans Stadium when they changed the seating color to dark blue. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's attack of the upper deck. This upper deck, it's giant. It's overwhelming. It's just quite frank. It's like a massive monster up there looking at that thing. And this is just one of those multi-purpose donuts. It's like the upper deck started eating the lower bowl and just expanded so far. That's Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. It comes in at number 56. At number 55, it is Cleveland Municipal Stadium. You know, this stadium was designed originally after old Yankee Stadium, and you can kind of see it, like the same upper deck design. It's like the Yankee Stadium's young, dumber, more ugly brother. That's what Cleveland Municipal Stadium is. It was built in the 1930s, one of the first multi-purpose stadiums. It is what it is. But yes, it was very old. It survived way too long. This thing should have been knocked down in the mid-'80s, but it made it almost to the late '90s. Cleveland Municipal Stadium. They had the Indians and the Browns had several different plans to get rid of it. Honestly, in like the '70s, it just never happened. But it comes in at number 55 on my list. At number 54, it is Shea Stadium. So listen, there's a pro with Shea Stadium. It doesn't. The upper deck does not go all the way around. The con is there's basically literally no outfield seating outside of a little bleacher section in left field. It just looks really minor league from that perspective. And also the upper deck is like a 90-degree angle. It was a wall of death. It was very steep. So for me, Shea Stadium, it is multi-purpose. It's not the worst thing in the world. But because it's almost like complete, it's like incomplete to me, it comes in very low on the list at number 54. At number 53, it is Fulton County Stadium. So this is in Atlanta, and I will say, maybe this should have been higher on my list because it does have a very small feel to it. Obviously, it's got the circle of death going all the way around. We hate that. We want an open stadium, but at least it's really not too overwhelming in terms of the seating. Either way, just look at the exterior. It's like an unfinished construction bridge. Now, in terms of the architecture on it, so it comes in at number 53.
Tiffany. Hold on. Go get mom. Put yourself up right quick, go. So, Ozzy's hurt. Strider's hurt. What's wrong with you, Ghost? Are you hurt? You're not hurt. You look good. You're a handsome dog. You don't think you're handsome? You're a pretty boy, ain't you? Yeah, you are. You're a pretty boy. Yes, you is. Pretty boy. There you go. There you go. Let's go, guys. Come on. Move, move, move. Go, green team. Go, green team. Yes, yes, Ghosty. Yes, Ghosty. Get you. Let me get you. Go.
For me at number 52.
Can you bring me water?
Olympic Stadium, the complete colossal waste of money in Montreal. This thing opened in the 70s, and you'll give them credit because they did host the Olympics, but it cost $1.1 billion. That is not adjusted for inflation. That is in 1976. It just had this really weird contraption where they tried to outsmart themselves with the retractable roof. It was like a tarp that used cables, and it didn't work pretty much immediately, like 5 years into the stadium opening. The tarp didn't work, and it's interesting because the area that attached to the tarp was like a hotel as well, so it was kind of an interesting design, but it just ended up looking really cheap. And this is another one of those stadiums that looked really like, damn, it just gave off kind of a feel on the interior. Way too much in terms of capacity. Montreal ends up averaging like 4,000 fans per game in the early 90s, and then they end up leaving and going to DC. It comes in at number 52. At number 51, it is RFK Stadium. So at least RFK Stadium, it had the dignity to be a multi-purpose stadium, but at least it kind of had a nice little upper deck, shape where it kind of curved down. So at least it wasn't a total failure. But RFK Stadium right now, in the process of being demolished, maybe they will build the new Commander Stadium at the site. That's what they've been talking about. There's really not much I can say about this. It's just your typical cookie cutter multi-purpose stadium. It comes in pretty low on my list at number 51. Moving to number 50, it is Metropolitan Stadium. So these next three are basically all the same. Metropolitan Stadium is interesting because it was built in the middle of nowhere, and then it did drop into a state of decay, and it's one of the rare, bigger MLB stadiums to actually be abandoned for a few years. After the team left it, it ended up getting knocked down and just demolished, but kind of just a really strange seating configuration. I really don't know what to make of it, really. It looks like just a random blob, because if you look at the original photo, there's really nothing to the stadium, and then they just started expanding section after section and just putting sections in random areas. And it's really hard to get a gauge on the stadium, so it comes in at number 50. At number 49 is Milwaukee County Stadium. This stadium probably best known for being in the movie Major League. Other than that, unforgettable. Had a big capacity because it also hosted football. And overall, it's not terrible. Like, at least it's an open stadium, and it does have some outfield bleacher seating. It's just got 2 decks, but believe it or not, it did have a really high capacity, especially for Milwaukee, a small market team. It definitely had its deficiencies. It comes in at number 49. At number 48, it is Baltimore Memorial Stadium. Very strange configuration. Another one that also hosted football, but I feel like it was more of a baseball stadium. The weird thing with this one is if you look at center field, it's just a bunch of empty bleachers. I'm guessing because that's where the batter's eye is, but it is just funny to look at. Like, they couldn't have anyone sit out there. And again, this is another multi-purpose stadium. It's just a bunch of discombobbled sections of seats, and they just kind of jigsawed them and said, here it is. It's thrown together. But honestly, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's not like they had a crazy big upper deck. At least it was open, so it comes in. And also, you do kind of have like that grassy area beyond center field, and then just the complete desolate parking lot. That's just great. That comes in at number 40 on my list. Moving to number 47, it is Candlestick Park. I was contemplating putting this a lot lower because honestly it deserves it. Candlestick Park is really hard because it's kind of like a legendary football stadium with baseball. It's just a weird configuration. Obviously, it is way too big. It has the upper deck going all the way around. but it's not like your traditional cookie cutter circular upper deck. It's kind of an interesting design, and I think that's a cool part when it comes to it. It certainly looks unbelievable when they sold it out, but of course, because MLB, there's so many games, they rarely ever sold it out. There were always empty seats in the upper deck, and it was brutally cold with the winds in the 40s a lot of these games at night. So that's, to me, Candlestick Park, even though it is legendary in terms of football, for baseball it was a bit of a dump. It's going to come in at number 47. At number 46, we're throwing this one in. It is Wrigley Field, LA. Yes, it's the second version of Wrigley Field. It only lasted a year, but it's a fun little Easter egg to throw in there. Wrigley Field, LA really didn't have much of an outfield in terms of seating because it was built right in a neighborhood, like literally in a neighborhood. But there is an alternate universe where this stadium ends up becoming what we know as Wrigley Field, an almost Angeles version, and they build it around a neighborhood, and they have rooftops out there. Think about that alternate history. It never happened. It only lasted a year hosting at Major League Baseball, and then it got demolished. It's a sad, sad story. But it's not a terrible stadium, especially for its time. Moving on to number 45, it is Mile High Stadium. So this is another one that did not host very much Major League Baseball, but you're kind of forced to at least put this in the middle because it is multi-purpose. But the Colorado Rockies, their first 2 years, they played here, and they set crazy attendance numbers. They set attendance numbers that will never be broken because this stadium was also an NFL stadium. It had just crazy high seating. It had 3 decks in the outfield. I mean, that's just ridiculous. But yeah, they averaged like 56,000 per game, which is just an absurd number over an 81-game season. So Mile High Stadium. Also, it was interesting the mechanics behind them just pushing the entire seating out in left field, and doing that to make it multi-purpose. At number 44, it is the second modern stadium. It's Tropicana Field. So Tropicana Field, obviously, probably getting knocked down in about 4 or 5 years, depending on if the Rays actually build a new stadium. It has no natural light. It is terrible. It's got a strange upper deck configuration where the top of the upper deck is actually bleacher seating. A lot of people don't know that because it's always tarped off. And also it doesn't help that this stadium is located in a terrible spot. Good news for Rays fans, the next stadium is going adjacent to this stadium, so that's just great. But obviously Tropicana Field, it was built in 1991. It really never had a chance to be a good stadium. And by the time of the mid-90s hit, nobody was building these dome-type stadiums with no natural light, and the Rays didn't even become a thing until 1998, so they didn't even move into it and really break it open until 98, when you already had Oriole Park at Camden Yards open, you already had Progressive Field open, you already had Coors Field open, and this stadium is just completely obsolete at this point in the MLB. It is definitely a bottom 2 stadium right now. I do have the Coliseum ranked worse than it, and I've been consistent on that throughout. At number 43, it is Crosley Field. It's the knockoff Fenway Park. But the seating in right field does kind of remind me of Fenway Park, and then they've just got a massive wall starting in center field. Some of these old stadiums, you gotta love the design of them when you actually look at them, but it's just so unique, so I thought I would throw Crosley Field in there at number 43, right in the middle. At number 42, it is Braves Field. Very, very small, old-time stadium as well. And you've got a nice railroad track beyond it. You've got nice buildings. You also do have some suites as well, so they were really building things up with the exclusive seating on top. But overall, it's kind of hard to rank this stadium high based on how small it is, based on the fact there's no true second deck. But it was very small, very compact, and I liked the landscape and the overall aesthetic behind the stadium. So Braves Field comes in at 42. At number 41, it is Metrodome. So the reason the Metrodome's maybe a little bit higher in comparison to a lot of the other multi-purpose stadiums, at least the Metrodome is not this giant wall of seats, because they brought this apron down to cover up a lot of the upper deck. That was a really genius move by them. But unfortunately, I mean, I guess you could say it's a dome, so at least it's a controlled environment. But it is the issue in terms of the fact that there was no natural light into this stadium. Now, when it comes to the blimp roof, what they can do now, obviously they're not going to do it now because there's really no blimp-type roofs left in MLB. You can put, like, see-through panels in the roof to make more natural light come into the stadium, and I really think that would have helped. Also, they certainly needed a real grass surface. Anytime you have artificial turf, mixed with that dome damp vibe, it's just going to be a terrible outcome. But the Metrodome, it's not the worst thing in the world because they were able to configure it. Yes, it did have some cringy parts, including all of the seats being backed up, in right field. It just looks bad, but it comes in at number 41 for me. At number 40, it is guaranteed rate field. It's another modern one. And let me just say, this was originally New Comiskey, and they knew they messed this up pretty much immediately. It received a big-time renovation, and it really did help. They used to have this massive upper deck seating. They took about 8 sections out. But overall, my big issue with guaranteed rate is just the lack of uniqueness in terms of the outfield seating. And all of those ads, and there's nothing open to it. It just looks really bad. It just really bland in terms of that. Also, it is not located in a good part of Chicago. It comes in at number 40 for me. Moving on to number 39, it is the Astrodome. The Astrodome, certainly a pioneer, the 8th wonder of the world. It's so hard to rank this, but you do have the dreaded ring upper deck, which is terrible. You've got the interesting, I'll be honest, guys, the exterior of this stadium is brutal, but it's hard to really rate it considering it went up in the 1960s, but it just looks like a complete... It's just a desolate concrete slab of crap. It looks like a parking garage from the exterior, and the Astrodome is actually still up right now. They can't knock it down because there's a bunch of crap under it, and it would end up costing more money. But the Astrodome, the first true dome, they tried throwing brass for the first few years, and it basically died immediately. It comes in at number 39 on my list. At number 38, it is Park. America Park to me is just very bland. I did a video on America Park a few months ago talking about it. Just the right field, the left field seating. This park has been neglected for so long because there's been multiple instances of them moving the fences in, but they really don't renovate the stadium. So it's like, it just ends up looking bad. They put up a double fence, which is basically just one fence in front of another fence, the new fence in front of the old fence, because I don't know, I guess they're cheap, they don't want to renovate Comerica Park, but to me, Comerica Park just never spoke to me. It just seems very average. They do have a split upper deck, which I guess is kind of cool, but other than that, to me, it comes in at number 38 on my list. At number 37, it is Busch Stadium II. So this is definitely an actual decent multi-purpose stadium when it went through the renovation and they took out all of the seating in the upper deck. And also you've got a green patch in center field. Kind of interesting that they did that to a multi-purpose stadium. The entire thing seemed really cluttered though, because it still has that circular donut design. It's like they didn't take that out. But you also do have the little arches. Those are kind of cool, although also they do kind of look tacky. Either way, I don't know, Busch Stadium II, it was pretty decent and pretty good for a multi-purpose stadium. It comes in at 37. At number 36, it is Angel Stadium. So Angel Stadium has really been through it. It was built in the 60s. They expanded the seating for football. They took the seating out. It's just a really dated design at this point. You can say it's got a really nice center field area. You've got the fountain in left center field. I get it. I like that. But the overall upper deck design is really dated, and it just is a really dated look at this point. So Angel Stadium comes in at number 36. They need to do something to it. I'm guessing they'll be getting a new stadium at some point. But right now, things do look really bleak for the Angels franchise. At number 35, it is Chase Field. So there's another stadium that's in the news, possibly going to be getting a renovation. There's some good things about Chase Field, especially when you open up the entire roof and you open up the outfield windows. Really nice stadium. Unfortunately, it doesn't open up that much because this stadium is located in the desert. It's always really hot. Another big issue with this stadium is the center field. vertical wall, vertical scoreboard. I hate that design. Basically, whenever a home run gets into center field, it bounces right back onto the field. That's just really tacky, and you got to, at least when you're renovating it, you think they would remove that and put the scoreboard up in right field or left field. They do also have a pool in right center. That's a stadium cork that I really like. They've got a massively big upper deck that they're probably going to have to take some of the sections out in terms of that. Really, Chase Field, the exterior of it normally gets really dirty. I'm going to rank it at number 35 on my list. At number 34, it is American Family Field, so another stadium that's very similar in terms of it possibly getting a renovation here really soon, or maybe the Brewers might have to leave. We'll see. Either way, it's very similar in Chase Field. That's why I ranked these right back to back. It's got the issue in center field with the vertical scoreboard that you think they would remove. And then also just looking at it, it has weird seating configurations out in left field where there's seats like right above the bullpen, and it just doesn't really line up. So we'll have to see what they end up doing to American Family Field. It's definitely a forgettable stadium, although I will say it does have a very unique retractable roof design from the exterior that is rather cool. At number 33, we're going with Turner Field. So Turner Field is definitely forgettable. It barely survived 20 years. Actually, I don't even know if it survives 20 years. But it was originally built for the Olympics. So it was kind of built on a crunch in the first place because it's like Atlanta is investing money in this stadium, building it for the Olympics and then turning it into a baseball stadium. That's part of the reason why they were able to get the new Truist Park, because they can say, well, our last stadium that we're trying to leave, it really wasn't a baseball stadium. It was built in part for the Olympics. That's where the money went into it. And the capacity is just a little bit too big for sure, especially for modern. The capacity is too big. They would have had to have renovated it pretty significantly, and they just decided to build a new ballpark. At number 32, it is Baker Bowl with the massive high wall out in right field. There was an original wall, and then there was a fence on top of the wall. It's about 30% taller than the Green Monster. Very unique design there. So the Baker Bowl for me just based off of that. And then you do have some seating in left field. You do have 2 decks of stands behind home plate. The Baker Bowl comes in at number 32. At number 31, it is Nationals Park. I've called it the most average stadium in MLB. It's basically an extension minor league park. It's very strange how they have the press box so high up. You can understand you'd want to give the fans a better view, I guess, but when you're watching a game, it's kind of hard to adjust to it. Overall, I mean, I'm just trying to fill time here with Nationals Park because there's nothing I can say about it. There's no unique factor to it. I guess you could say it's got a smaller upper deck, which kind of makes it more palatable, especially when the Nationals have bad attendance. You know, it's not that big of a deal because it's not like you're looking at massive empty seats. But there's just nothing special about Nationals Park there, in my opinion. At number 30, it is Great American Ballpark. So Great American Ballpark, nothing too terrible. I actually like the fact that it's very offensive-minded. But this is definitely one where it's on the borderline of being two-hitter friendly. Not that I care too much. Overall, it's another one that has a split upper deck. It comes in at number 30 for me. I do like the seating color as well, the dark red for the Reds. Moving on to number 29, and what a sad story this is. The newest stadium in MLB, Globe Life Field, it's built like a grill. You guys, I think they went really cheap on this stadium considering the total budget was $1.1 billion, and it is a retractable roof stadium. You know, if you're going to do a retractable roof, that signals to me it should probably be at least $1.5 billion, especially if you're building it in Arlington, Texas. Listen, the interior of this stadium, it's not bad. You got a cool little crevice there. You got a nice left field area with all those different little sections of seats suspended. That's a cool part of it. You do have a lot of natural light being let into the stadium. But guys, this is the first stadium. It opened in 2020 in front of no fans, and the first games that it hosted were neutral site playoff games in that Champ 2020 short season. Yeah, it's going to come in at number 29 on my list. At number 28, it is Minute Maid Park, so I really don't have anything against Minute Maid. You know, it's a semi-older stadium. It's, you know, well over 2 decades old at this point. The only real issue I have with it is the retractable roof. The look of it when it's open, it just looks like a really fat retractable roof to me. I don't know. Certainly it looks like it's out of date. There's no way a retractable roof would be built like that today. You also do kind of have a weird situation in left field when it's fully closed. You've got the natural light windows, but the windows look really dated. If I was going to do a renovation on Minute Maid, I would exchange those windows for more natural glass paneling just to make it more, 2023, more modern. Also, you do have the center field situation. It's so sad. They removed the hill in center field, Tiles Hill. They said, it's a safety concern. Meanwhile, no one's ever gotten injured on it. It's just how soft we've gotten as a society. Oh, yeah, it's a safety problem. Please, it's a great court to the stadium. I just think they wanted to move the fence in from center field because it was 436 to dead center. Now they've gotten it down to 400. But overall, it's a fine stadium. Really no issues for me. At number 27, it is Kauffman Stadium. So Kauffman Stadium has one of the worst exteriors I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it's genuinely awful. And you look at the upper deck design. It's funny, the upper deck is very similar to the Tropicana Field upper deck. You just can't tell because Tropicana Field, it's basically hidden because there's a ceiling right there. But it is very similar, and Tropicana Field's upper deck was modeled after Kauffman Stadium. But I do really like Kauffman Stadium because of the fountains in the outfield. It's just a really cool, unique thing that fits in well with the Royals. This stadium very likely will be demolished in 4 or 5 years when the Royals move downtown. In 2027, that's at least what we're expecting. You also do have kind of a unique setup in terms of the outfield seating. There's just not much to it, especially in right center field. It's just basically standing room. I kind of like that. I don't know, it's something different. And then in left field, you kind of have weird seating out there. So it's not horrible. The exterior of it certainly is bad. It's very old, although it did get a big-time renovation in the early 2000s. Originally, there was literally no seating in the outfield, and some people actually like that when it's just like grass in beyond the wall. I think that's Little League. I think it looks like a minor league park, so I like when there's seating. But originally it was a very peaceful area out there. It was just basically fountains. Moving on to number 26, it is the Rogers Center. So the Rogers Center, originally built as multi-purpose. A lot of people didn't like it. They go through the huge renovation. Phase 1 of the renovation just happened. They completely custom fit this stadium for baseball only. They custom fit the bullpens out in right and left field. They took out a bunch of seats below the hotel in the upper deck. And guys, you gotta love the built-in hotel to this stadium. You know what I would do if I was the owner of this team? I would demand an immediate upgrade to the windows of the hotel, and I would make them very grandiose and very modern. How crazy would that look? You've got such a unique asset in your stadium with a built-in hotel. It's so cool. Well, let's upgrade the exterior look of those windows to make it better. They look like they're from the 1970s. We can do a bit better than that. But this is a stadium. It's moved up on my list. I never had a real big issue with it. And they are talking about possibly maybe putting a translucent roof on it, although that was really something that was rumored years ago. Either way, they are going to be changing more of the seating, but it's more of the lower level, right around the dugouts, things like that. The Rogers Center, really nice renovation, and it will prolong its lifespan. We're kind of getting into the better stadiums now. Moving on to number 25, it is Progressive Field, formerly Jacobs Field. This stadium was ruined by poor attendance. It's so sad what they did to the right field upper deck. Well, let me say, first it was ruined by poor attendance. Second, it was ruined by cheap ownership who decided to go ultra cheap on the renovation to the right field upper deck. And you do have the shipping containers. Everyone hates them. They look hideous. They are a complete black eye on what previously was known as a very solid stadium opening in the mid-90s. The sellout streak that the Indians had, 455 straight games, a capacity of around 43K. Still a very solid stadium. I do like Progressive Field. I do think it's underrated. It has more courts than you think. It's got a very nice center field batter's eye with the pine trees. And that's why, listen, you don't have to do anything crazy when it comes to the batter's eye of these stadiums, but at least, show some effort. Do something that, yes, I like the pine trees. It's very peaceful. It's nice. And then you do have the wall out in left field, kind of like a baby, Green Monster type thing with the very nice custom bleacher seating. Progressive Field is a good stadium. It comes in at number 25. At number 24, it is T-Mobile Park. formerly Safeco Field. Very unique ballpark considering this is actually a retractable roof stadium. And what I mean by that is because it's not climate controlled, they basically have this thing opened like 75% of the time. Normally with retractable roofs, they're always closed because they can control the temperature. But with T-Mobile, it doesn't matter. You're going to get the wind flow throughout the stadium, whether the roof is open or closed. So I think this retractable roof works amazing. And also, I think it's a cool design when you look at the roof itself. Overall, you could say it's a little bit of a dated design on the interior with the right field upper deck. There has been some murmurings. Maybe they'll turn that into a standing room area, bar area. We will see. Either way, T-Mobile Park is a very solid stadium. And for me, it comes in at number 24. At number 23, it is Truist Park. So this is the second newest stadium in MLB. And this is a stadium that can move up on my list. When I'm ranking these stadiums, there is a nostalgic factor. There's an MLB history factor. What games were played in this stadium? Obviously, this is a stadium. It's very new, so it's going to be down on my list. It's a solid stadium. To me, it's like a traditional modern type. That's what I would call it. It's got a nice exterior, and then the biggest thing with this one, you do have the smaller upper deck. That's the new model. That's very nice, but it still has a bigger capacity. You also have the chop house out in right field. You've got a solid center field batter's eye with a little pond and a waterfall, and then it's also the battery located beyond the right field wall as well, the massive social district that, you know, the Braves were really pioneers in terms of doing that. Now other teams are trying to copy it. So Truist Park is a very good stadium, and it might move up on my list in the future. At number 22, it is Forbes Field. So Forbes Field with the ivy fence, an older stadium, obviously, very nice exterior. You've got the old scoreboard located in left field in play, and then you do have 2 decks of seating, really no upper deck or anything crazy like that. But this is a nice old-time stadium that is unique just in the way it's designed. Although it really is like incomplete. That's kind of how most old stadiums are because there's no seating beyond left or center field. It does make it rather unique. There's just like trees out there. But to me, it does come in at number 22. At number 21, it is Citi Field. So Citi Field has an amazing brick exterior, possibly the second best modern stadium exterior I've seen behind Lone Depot Park. But the interior I do have some issues with, especially the giant upper deck located in left field. Also, they just simply built this stadium too big, so they've had to go through multiple renovations in terms of moving the outfield fences in, and that's created some dead zones out there, so that's not a great look. But overall, Citi Field is very solid. I like the brand new crazy big scoreboard. I don't have a problem with that, honestly, and it's a good stadium, so it comes in at number 21. At number 20, it is Yankee Stadium, or I should say new Yankee Stadium. Both Yankee Stadium and Citi Field opened in 2009, and they're ranked back-to-back. So I like new Yankee Stadium. I really don't have an issue with it. It's got a very nice exterior. They spent a ton of money on this stadium, around $2.1 billion at the time, which is just silly for an MLB stadium that doesn't have a roof. So, I mean, they really shilled out. Also, you know, the cost of construction in New York is pretty crazy. But overall, the only real issue I have with Yankee Stadium is all the advertisements, which it really closes the ballpark. But I think it's a modern design. It's got a smaller upper deck. It looks pretty nice to me. You've got the short porch. That's unique. You also have the really deep alley to left center, which kind of evens out and balances out the ballpark. It's a solid stadium. It comes in at number 20. At number 19, it is Busch Stadium, or New Busch, or Busch the Stadium, the third, whatever you want to call it. So this is a really well put together stadium. Another one with a smaller upper deck. You've got the green patch, a nice batter's eye in center field. It's really well put together, and they also have a ballpark village as well. They did a really good job on this stadium. Like we all know, St. Louis, they're a baseball town. That's what they love. And it's just a very St. Louis traditional type stadium. They normally always sell it out. I mean, outside of this year because St. Louis has been terrible, but they normally are known for having really good attendance. The new Busch Stadium, even though it is kind of a pitcher's park, or it definitely is a pitcher's park, honestly, it comes in at number 19 for me. At number 18, it is Coors Field. So I really do like Coors Field, and they were the first ones to take the plunge and actually took seats out of their left field upper deck area. I'm sure most people know Coors as being this offensive haven. It's because of the air, and yes, it is. I mean, Colorado just cannot develop any young pitching there. They have a great center field area. It's almost like a wilderness area with trees and a pond and a little river. And then just looking at it, you also have the rock pile, which is very unique. The seats themselves are terrible. They're bleacher seats located way beyond the center field fence, but it's just kind of a unique stadium fork. No other stadium has that. Of course, the rooftop with the bar in the upper deck is very unique as well. So this is a very nice stadium. Really nice exterior. It comes in at number 18. At number 17, it is Target Field. So Target Field, one of the newer stadiums opening in 2010, the smallest footprint in MLB. And unfortunately, I think that's a bit of a negative. You know, when you have such a small area to work with, you really can't make the stadium as good as it normally should be. If they had like 2 or 3 more acres, I would probably have Target Field as a top 10 stadium just because the exterior of it is so clean.
It's a
I
blue.
love the marble look design to it. And then the interior, there's really no wasted space. It's really nice. The only thing I have a crazy problem with is the center field design. I'm not a fan of that big black wall. I know it's for the batter's eye, but I would have rather them do like some type of wilderness area. And then on top of that, you could kind of do whatever. It's like they have a bar out in center field or something, but still, Target Field is really nice. They also have a pretty cool multi-story bar out beyond the left field foul pole, which is cool. So that comes in at number 17 for me. At number 16, it is Tiger Stadium. So Tiger Stadium, super unique. It is just 2 decks going all the way around in a continuous, like, oval shape, semi-oval almost. Very cool design. Very retro. Obviously, this was replaced by Comerica Park, not nearly as well. I guess Comerica Park, technically, you know, it's newer, it's better, but you really would have loved, especially when it comes to these legendary stadium, if they would have taken some cues from Tiger Stadium in their design for Comerica Park, but they went a completely different route. It's just, I mean, there's just no bad seats to it, and it is interesting because both of the entire things are enclosed. Normally, I would want a stadium to be open, but in terms of the proximity of the seats to the playing action, you really can't beat Tiger Stadium. It comes in at number 16. At number 15, it is Comiskey Park. So this is another one that's very similar. Now, this one, it doesn't go all the way around in terms of the seating, but it has 2 decks. They're both very close to the action, and you could fit around 50K in this place, which is just crazy considering it really doesn't have an upper deck. It has like, you know, like a lower bowl and a mid-tier deck. So Comiskey Park, that's another one. You would think with new Comiskey, they would take at least some of the model out of it. I would really like to see a newer stadium designed almost in an old format where you combined the old with new and see how something like that would look personally. Maybe you put the suites above all of the seats. No one's really taken the plunge and actually done that. I do think we're getting close to doing that because stadiums are getting smaller and smaller in terms of capacity. But Comiskey Park is another older stadium that really doesn't have any bad seats, and it is a legendary stadium lasting for a while. It comes in at number 15 on my list. At number 14, it is Lone Depot Park, the stadium with the best exterior in baseball. You know, I could say a lot about Lone Depot Park. I do think it resembles the one super stadium of the MLB because it has the resemblance of like a futuristic spaceship type design. It is a retractable roof. Of course, the retractable roof is never open because of the weather in Miami, and this is a stadium that is often forgotten because of the horrible attendance issues that the Marlins have had, to where this thing opened and literally 5 years later, the Marlins were in the bottom 2 or bottom 3 of total attendance. That is unheard of. It does have a very nice modern type design in terms of the window out beyond left field. Unfortunately, they did take away the sculpture, which I really liked, the home run sculpture in left center. Also, the fish tank right behind home plate was awesome. They took that away as well. So they really did remove some cool features, but the design of the stadium is really good. Outside of the giant pipes that support the retractable roof, I think that looks ugly, and there had to have been a better way they could have done that. But either way, it comes in at number 14 on my list. At number 13, it is Rangers Ballpark in Arlington. Yes, it's so sad what happened to this stadium. Such a great design. You've got the center field green patch. You've got the offices overlooking out beyond center field. You've got the retro style grandstand in right field. Oh my goodness, guys. The only reason this stadium is not hosting baseball games anymore is because of the sun. This thing was built in the mid-90s. There was no overhang. There was no cover. It's built in Arlington, Texas. It's going to be a problem. They basically couldn't play any day games during the summer here, and they eventually moved into Globe Life Field, which ironically, I have that ranked lower than this because I just love this stadium. And it was also just a hitter's haven. It was definitely a hitter's park. Now, I will say there were some issues with it. You could say, like, the left field upper deck would be a problem, but it's just a nice stadium. And to me, it comes in at number 13 overall, just because of the uniqueness of it. At number 12, it is Citizens Bank Park. So Citizens Bank Park, this might be one you could consider. It's a little bit retro in terms of its design, but also modern. And that's why I think they've really hit it out of the park with Citizens Bank Park. You've got the center field wilderness area with the brick wall right behind it. You've got the interesting design in terms of the angled seating. You know, the upper deck, really all three of the decks in the outfield have that angled seating going all the way around. And you've also got a smaller upper deck as well. So Citizens Bank Park is super unique, and I really do like it. It comes in at number 12. At number 11, it is Dodger Stadium. So Dodger Stadium, not inside my top 10 of greatest stadiums of all time. Although it is subjective, you could very easily move it in there. I like Dodger Stadium. I have no issues with it. Obviously, it's legendary. It's survived a long, long time, and it just recently got a renovation, built where it was in Chavez Ravine. They basically chiseled it out. Some interesting construction photos of that, but overall, it is kind of an outdated design. It's got a massive upper deck. It is I think it's the only stadium in MLB to have a very small section actually above the upper deck. That's just kind of the older design of it. And it is the biggest stadium in MLB with a capacity of 56,000. Dodger Stadium comes in at number 11 for me. At number 10, it is Oriole Park at Camden Yards. So I do have Oriole Park at Camden Yards as a top 10 stadium of all time. It just fits in perfectly. You've got the warehouse. This is an interesting stadium because they are talking about renovating it. And I would say, it deserves a renovation. I would look to see what possibly they're going to be doing in the left field upper deck area. And also they do need to upgrade their batter's eye in center field. If you do those two things, this stadium, it's extremely impressive. But it's very hard to rank this stadium low because of the warehouse, because of Utah Street, and just the overall look of the stadium. It presents itself extremely well. It comes in at number 10. At number 9, it is Tribe Park. So another older stadium that has just a beautiful exterior for its time period. You can tell it was just built extremely well with the brick and the windows, like 3 different levels of windows. It's just beautiful old architecture. And then you do have the 2 different decks, both very small, with the design going all the way around from left field to center field, and then right field was just the scoreboard. Now, Tribe Park did end up falling into a state of abandonment, and it got demolished, but they based the seating design for Citizens Bank Park after this stadium. So there's another cool thing. At number 8, we do have the Polo Grounds. So the Polo Grounds, it was multi-purpose, but how can I not rank it high just because of the craziness of it? Obviously, down the line's extremely short, and then going to dead center, it's like over 500 feet. The bathtub, they call it. It's just such an interesting looking stadium, an interesting concoction. This stadium would be completely illegal nowadays. You're not allowed to have dimensions like that in terms of like an actual MLB stadium now. But it is Ebbets Field. So Ebbets Field, in terms of older stadiums, I have right at the top just because I think it's a complete stadium in terms of very, very nice exterior and then extremely impressive interior with really no horrible seating. That's one of the things you'll get with these older stadiums. They'll have decent capacity, but you really won't have any terrible seating. I would like to see a futuristic stadium designed with this type of seating. Obviously, the center field area would probably have to be redone because of the whole batter's eye, but you could certainly put seats out in right field where there were none. Ebbets Field, to me, certainly a legendary stadium. It comes in at number 7. At number 6, it is Petco Park. So Petco Park in San Diego. Beautiful stadium. I think they just set an attendance record there. They've been selling out every single game. But no, Petco, what they did to the left field area, adding the drinking rails. I think it's nice. The only thing I have an issue with Petco is they took out the sandbox in right center. That was a cool stadium cork to it. But Petco's just a really well put together stadium. They take advantage of it being in San Diego, beautiful weather, and they also do have the metal supply company built right into it. That would probably be the most famous cork of the stadium. It really is cool because they also have extra seating on the roof of it. Petco Park to me comes in at number 6. At number 5, it is PNC Park. So you've got the beautiful water, the beautiful backdrop with the city, and then PNC Park itself, especially for Pittsburgh, this was a good stadium design. They went with kind of a, not a lot of seating in terms of the outfield areas. You've also got, a weird kind of shaped upper deck, but overall, I would say a solid design, and really this is ranked here because of the exterior look of it. PNC Park comes in at number 5. At number 4, it is Wrigley Field. So to me, Wrigley Field is kind of a blend between an old field with a new field, especially after their renovation where they added those 2 giant scoreboards. I think they hit it out of the park. Just the design of it. I mean, it's a legendary stadium, obviously, but adding the scoreboards, the bleacher seating in the outfield, you've got the center field seating that's very famous. The only thing that's kind of weird about Wrigley is like that center field batter's eye area. Seems like they really don't know what to do with that, but there's really nothing better than like an October game with all of the rooftop seats filled at Wrigley Field. It comes in at number 4 on my greatest stadiums list. At number 3, it is Old Yankee Stadium, and I want to say this.
Stopped his wild behavior. I used to work at Target a couple of years ago. I worked inside the store on the sales floor and mostly on the grocery side. During this time, I was a part-time employee and I worked maybe 20 to 30 hours a week. One night, I was working a pretty standard shift for me. It was from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. When it started, things were kind of busy. I would move all around one side of the store and do whatever I needed to. Mainly stock shelves or organize things. I also answered customer questions and told them where certain items were if they wanted to know. I'd been working there for about 6 months at the time, and I knew the store like the back of my hand. So fast forward to about 9:30 p.m. or so that night. By then, the store had become very quiet. We were open until 11 p.m. back then, so we were not about to close, but it was still very quiet. Many of my coworkers had left, and the overnight team was beginning to arrive. On the grocery side, though, it was easy to stay busy. That side always had more shoppers, so it required more attention. All of the employees at Target carried a walkie-talkie for communication. I heard somebody say my name on the walkie, and I responded to them. I wasn't sure who it was, but they told me to go to the next channel, so I did. I was used to people calling me on there, and had received several calls earlier in the night. When we got a call on the walkie, usually it was anything from taking a break to being needed in another section of the store. As I was flipping to the next channel, I was wondering who it was that was calling me. After changing channels, I announced that I was there. At first, I heard nothing at all. Then, after a few seconds, I heard this creepy-sounding laugh. It went on, and I spoke again, asking who it was that was talking to me. They didn't answer though, just kept laughing. Once more, I asked who it was.
The center fielder will hit next.
It was a joke. Then they stopped laughing and said my name. It was a man speaking in a very deep voice, like he was trying to disguise it. He said that he was waiting for me in the parking lot. I laughed a little, assuming that it was somebody just messing around. After all, most of us were just about done for the night. I still couldn't figure out who it was though. I kept working. Pretty soon it was done, and to clock out. I went into the employee-only area, got my things, and then left the store. Now, the parking lot was very quiet. Most of the cars belonged to employees, and were parked towards the middle. Then there was my car, parked near the way back corner. It had been very busy when I arrived. So when I was walking out to my car, and about halfway there, I noticed one other car parked near mine. It was a few rows over and to the left, at least 100 feet away, but the engine was running. When I reached my vehicle, it was just a few feet from it. I noticed the car starting to drive. I really wasn't thinking anything of it until it began heading in my direction. And not only that, but it started going really fast. I didn't recognize the car as belonging to anybody that I knew. It quickly drove closer, and I got inside of my car and locked the door. Then the car parked in the space next to mine, but going in the opposite direction. I looked over, but the window was really tinted and I couldn't really see in. It was at that moment that I remembered what the person had said to me on the walkie. Was that not a joke? I sort of had a bad feeling about this. Still, I figured that I would just drive home, and I hoped that whoever this was would not follow me. As soon as I started to pull away, though, the car started driving and turned around. I then realized that's exactly what was going on. I turned and started heading back towards Target. I didn't want to drive home being followed. I drove back towards the front middle of the parking lot and closer to the store. This was where most of the other cars were parked and scattered around. I parked in between two other cars that were parked already. The car that was following me drove closer and then parked across and a little ways back. Now it was maybe 50 feet away from me. Then I got out of my car and walked extremely fast for the entrance of Target. I looked back briefly and saw that the car was still running, but nobody got out. That made me feel a little bit better. After I made it inside Target, I saw one of my coworkers who I knew walking by, and I told him about what happened. We both decided to look and see if the car was still there. After making it to the entrance doors, we looked out and I pointed to the car. We watched it, and then something surprising happened. It pulled out of the parking space that it had backed into. Then it slowly drove up the aisle and out of sight. The car had finally left. I then left Target once more and headed for my vehicle. I walked quickly and made it inside. Then I started the engine and backed out. But after I backed out, I was going to drive down the normal way that I usually left. But it was then that I saw a car in the far distance coming from the corner of the parking lot opposite to me. It was headed in my direction, and I was pretty sure that it was the same car. I scrambled to turn my car to face the other direction. The car was still really far away from me, but it was getting closer. Then I quickly drove out of the lesser-used back exit of Target. This road led to another quieter road that went behind another store that was nearby. I think that it was a sporting goods store, and after I went on the road, I went into the parking lot. From there, I drove all the way around the sporting goods store and parked on the side of it. I knew that the car following me would have no way of knowing that I was there. It probably assumed that I just tried to get back on the highway. I waited there, just hoping that I would not see headlights coming around the corner. Several minutes went by, and thankfully, I didn't. Then I was finally able to leave and go home. After that experience, nothing like that happened while working at Target. I don't know who it was that was talking to me that night on the walkie. It was very possible to get on our frequency, even if you were in the parking lot. I just don't know who would do it or why.
Daniel Snyder.
This happened not that long ago. I went to the grocery store one night that was kind of near my house. It was only like 10 minutes away. I was inside the grocery store for maybe 30 minutes. Inside, things were not very busy, and it was maybe 9 p.m. When I left the grocery store, I went back to my car, which was parked at about the middle of the parking lot. There were cars scattered all around, but not too many. I noticed that there was a car parked right next to mine, though, that wasn't there before. I only really noticed it because there were lots of open spaces around it. The car parked next to mine was a silver-colored sedan. I didn't pay it much attention and started loading my groceries into the back of my car. But when I was just about done, I glanced over at the car that was parked next to me and noticed somebody sitting in the driver's seat. It appeared to be a man. He was wearing a clown mask. This mask in particular was really creepy looking. It wasn't one of those cheap ones, but it really was.
Snyder goes 6 feet 3
inches. I didn't know why he was wearing it, because it wasn't anywhere near Halloween. It just seemed kind of random and odd. He wasn't looking at me, though. I put my cart back and then went to my driver's door and got inside. It was then that I looked over and noticed that the clown guy was looking right at me from inside his car. He didn't wave or move or anything, but was just staring in my direction. I smiled at him, figuring that it was some kind of a joke. Then I started my engine and drove away. As soon as my car started, he started his car as well. When I began driving, he did the same. I watched his car follow on to the end of the parking lot, and I was worried. Immediately, it seemed like this clown guy was trying to follow me. I left the parking lot and went onto a quiet road, and then that one took me to a busier one. The clown drove behind me the whole way. The roads were pretty quiet with it being later at night. There was not a good chance that he could get stuck in traffic trying to follow me or something.
If it was rush hour, that might have been a possibility. Instead, he easily stayed on my tail as I drove down the highway. After maybe 5 minutes there, I was getting worried of what I would do. I couldn't let this guy follow me all the way back home.
Out to short.
So when I was driving, I called my boyfriend
sends it over
the
to
situation.
And
I was
very
really
nicely
confused
done
when I
for
told
the
the
out.
clown was following me on
On to
the
the next
highway.
inning, and
He
now
thought I was
center
joking
fielder,
at first
Lee
and started
Swalwell.
laughing. I told him that I was serious and this was not a joke. Still, he didn't seem to take it as serious as I was. I told him that I was going to drive to his house.
Sends it across
My boyfriend's house is about 5 minutes away from mine. He said that was fine with him and told me not to worry about it. I did feel a little bit better knowing he wasn't too concerned. But still, this clown guy was really creeping me out. It's one thing to dress as a clown later at night, but it's another to follow somebody home. Several minutes later, I exited the highway, followed by the clown. Then I took a quiet road for about a mile before the turnoff for my boyfriend's street. When I turned, the clown behind me did as well. The street was very quiet at this time of night. My boyfriend's house was about halfway down the street and on the right side. When I reached it, I began pulling into the driveway. It seemed as though the clown was going to do the same thing. That's when I saw the door to the house open and my boyfriend running out. He was wearing a clown mask of his own, one that he wore at a Halloween party a couple of years ago. He was holding a yellow wiffle ball bat as well, and waving it around like a crazy person. The clown in the car behind me started pulling into the driveway, and then stopped. My boyfriend was screaming like a madman, and went running straight for the clown's car behind me. Then the clown backed out and drove away before my boyfriend could reach him. I got out of the car and asked my boyfriend if he was out of his mind. I couldn't believe what he was doing. He took his mask off and started laughing, calling the other clown a wimp for running away. We went inside after that, and I ended up being really glad that he did that. It could have been extremely dangerous, though. Who knows who that guy in the clown mask was and what he wanted? Maybe that was just his way of disguising himself, and me being a young woman, he was trying to stalk me. I'm really not sure, but I'm glad that my boyfriend considered the whole thing one big joke. He told me that he thought of the idea when I told him I was going to his place. He remembered the clown mask and thought he would out-clown the clown. I'm really glad that it worked.
Dives, but it kicks off the glove. Decides to hold on to it, and they come away without an out. Now, the first baseman, number 8.
So this story took place just a few weeks ago. It's really bizarre and also scary. I play in a fantasy football league with a bunch of my friends. If anybody doesn't know, in fantasy football, you draft players that are in the NFL. And based on their performances for the week, your team gets points.
The third baseman.
Your team plays another team every week. There's playoffs and a championship game at the end. Well, in the league that I play with my friends, whoever gets last place in the league has to get punished. Before the season starts, people think of ideas for punishments, and we vote on it and decide it. So everybody knew that this year, our punishment was to dress up as a clown. Then the loser would have to walk down one of the busiest streets in our nearby city. Thankfully, I didn't lose, but one of my best friends, Ben, did. My friend Jordan and I decided to go with him for his punishment. We were going to record it and send it to everybody else in the league. We first went to a party supply store and bought a cheap clown mask and costume. Then we wrote on a piece of cardboard, "I suck at fantasy football." We then drove to the city, which was about 15 minutes away. It's a pretty large city and also very busy.
And here's the first baseman.
When we got there, the sun was setting, but there was still a lot of people out. Ben reluctantly put on his loser clown outfit, and we were laughing like crazy. We parked in this little parking lot on the edge of downtown, and then walked several blocks. When we got into the heart of the city, Ben had to walk the entire way down the street and back. He kept trying to negotiate and make it a shorter walk, but it was always responsibility to make sure that the punishment was fulfilled. Ben walked on the sidewalk, and people were staring at him. We laughed and got our pictures and videos. Then we started to head back. When we did, though, we noticed that there was another person dressed as a clown. It was really strange to see. I mean, there were a lot of people around, but I didn't expect to see someone else who looked like a clown. Obviously, we had to have Ben go over and say hi to the other clown. We walked over, and when we got over to him, saw that his mask and costume was a lot better than Ben's. He didn't really seem amused, though. The other clown just kind of stood there. Ben attempted a handshake with the other clown, but he left him hanging. He wasn't saying anything either, so we just left.
We started walking back to our car, which would take probably less than 5 minutes or so. We walked along the sidewalk, away from where most of the people were. It was a much quieter area where we parked. About a minute into the walk, Jordan said that the clown appeared to be following us. I looked back and saw him walking behind us, but a long ways away. We all found this funny and figured that the guy was just joking around. We kept walking, and surprisingly, the clown remained behind us. Eventually, we crossed the street and had to go just another block to get to the car. When we crossed the street, it was much quieter. Hardly anybody else was around. The clown then crossed the street as well. He appeared to be getting closer. I found it a little bit strange that he was still behind us. Soon we made it to the parking lot, and at that point, saw the clown had started to run after us. We all hurried to get inside the car. We were laughing, but I honestly found it a little bit creepy. I have a smaller SUV, and I was driving, with Jordan in the passenger seat and Ben in the back. I started the car, and then watched and laughed as the clown kept running after us. When the clown reached the parking lot, he stopped. I started driving out, and we would have to go right past him. He was now standing by the exit. When I was starting to drive by the clown, he turned and faced us. Then I saw him pulling something out of his pocket. I didn't know what it was, because I looked away to focus on the road. But the next thing I knew, I heard a loud noise come from the back of the car, and a crashing of glass. Then I heard Ben say that the clown threw a brick at us. I drove out of there, and the back window was half smashed. Everybody in the car was fine, and Ben didn't get any glass on him or anything. We called the police, though, and reported the clown, and were glad to get away from him. I thought he was harmless. It was creepy that he followed us, but we had no idea that he would pull a brick out and throw it at us. The whole situation is so crazy. I wouldn't believe it if I wasn't there myself. It made for the most memorable fantasy football punishment ever.
There's a rocket into the outfield. So one on now with one away.
I had a terrifying experience with a clown back when I was in high school.
The first baseman.
I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. It all started one night when I was at work. Back then, I lived with my parents and worked a job at a nearby convenience store.
Runner on the go.
I walked to and from work, and I would ride the bus to school every day. Between work and school, I was pretty busy. So I started work from 3 p.m. until 9 p.m. on this night. Work went by as usual, and when I got off, I left to walk home. The walk would take me about 15 minutes on most days, and I didn't mind. At my job, I would just be sitting at a counter most of the time, so walking afterwards felt nice. Also, the neighborhood was generally really quiet. I never felt unsafe or had anything scary happen. It did seem a little bit creepy at night sometimes because of how quiet it would be. After leaving work, I started walking along the sidewalk. There were sidewalks for my entire walk home, but I did have to turn a couple of times. About 2 or 3 minutes into the walk, I noticed somebody kind of up ahead. They were standing on the grass between the sidewalk and the street, kind of randomly. It was dark out, and they were far away. But when I approached, I soon realized that it was a clown, or at least it was somebody dressed up in a clown costume. It was really creepy looking, and I knew that I would have to walk past him. I didn't really want to, but I did. I tried not to look when I got close, and the clown didn't say anything to me. When I passed it by, I could sense him looking at me now. Still, I didn't look. I just walked past and kept going towards my house. At first, he appeared to stay where he was. But when I got like 20 feet away, I heard him move, and it sounded like he went onto the sidewalk. I got about 50 feet ahead of him, but then I heard him walking behind me. I hoped that he wasn't following me, but I had a bad feeling that he was. When I turned, I looked over, saw that the clown was walking a distance behind me. He turned exactly when I did. There was no question that he was following me. I kept going, tried to walk a little bit faster. I didn't look back, but listened closely in case the clown was going faster as well. He didn't seem to be getting any closer to me, though. I crossed another street, which he also did. Now I only had a short distance to go before arriving home. When I got to my street, the clown walked after me. That's when I looked over my shoulder for the first time. He was there, maybe 40 feet back now, and was looking at me. I walked faster, and by now my heart was racing. I was really freaked out. I wanted to start running, but was afraid that the clown would do the same if I did. Instead, I remained as calm as I could and kept walking. Soon I made it to my driveway.
I felt a lot better, but still had to make it inside the house. I walked up and got to the front step. It was at that point that the clown reached my driveway. Then I heard him starting to walk up the driveway after me. This made me really nervous, and I scrambled to use my house key to unlock the door. I was panicking, and that was causing me to go slower than usual. I heard the footsteps quickly approaching as I fumbled around with the key. At last, I had unlocked the door. I went inside extremely quick and then slammed the door and locked it behind me. I heard my mom say from the other room, "What was that?" She then called out my name, and I heard the doorknob turn behind me. I ran over to the living room and found my parents. I told them about the clown guy following me home. We went over to the door to look, but he was now gone. I told them the story. My parents said that they would drive me to and from work for my next shift. We figured that the clown had left, and we were all very creeped out by this situation. Later that night, I went to bed, and the clown didn't come back or anything. But the next morning, I got up to catch the bus for school. It was really early and still dark out because school started at 7:25. So at about 6:50, the bus would usually arrive at my house. And after getting ready for school, I headed out. I left my house at about 6:45 and started walking to the end of my driveway where I would stand and wait for the bus. When I was beginning to walk down the driveway, I saw something out of the corner of my eye. I looked and saw the same clown coming around the corner from the side of the garage. I couldn't believe my eyes. I turned and ran back inside the house and called the police right there. Then I found my parents and told them what was going on. We all stayed inside the house until the cops got there. They found the clown hiding in the backyard. I couldn't believe it. I was sure that he had left the previous night. After that, I was able to get a ride with my parents to school because I missed the bus. But I was just grateful to be okay. It still blows my mind that the clown was there in our yard all night. We should have called the police the previous night after he had followed me home. We had just assumed that he left. I guess he camped out on the side of the garage, which was actually a really good hiding place. That guy was a total creep. This remains the scariest moment of my life. I'm now scared of clowns because this happened when I was a freshman in high school. During this time, I lived at home with my parents and older sister. We lived in what I would describe as a pretty rich neighborhood. Our backyard was sort of big, but overall it was a very populated area.
So one night, I was at home playing video games in my bedroom.
So 2 down.
My sister was
Daniel
in her room,
Snyder
and my
getting
parents
ready to
were out
hit.
in the living room. I always liked to play video games in my
Swing
room,
and a
and
foul
I had a
straight
really
back.
good setup in there. I had my gaming chair, big monitor, and a TV as well. I remember that after gaming for a long time, I got to a loading screen. I leaned back in my chair to stretch, and I casually looked to my right out of my bedroom window.
Sends it
The
out
window
of here.
looked out to the
12th of
backyard,
season,
and at the
and
back of the
jump out
yard was a
front.
small
It's
woods.
1-0.
Something
He's
caught my eye
definitely on
when
a
I looked
good
out there.
He
It looked
has
sort of like
simply
there was a
been
clown looking at
dominating
me from
pitchers
just
at this
inside the
level and
woods.
looks to be a
At first,
prime
I thought
candidate
surely
for
that wasn't the
promotion
case.
very soon.
I kept looking
Late
and was
on that
squinting my eyes to see
fastball. Now
better.
his skills at the
It
plate
sure
and in
looked
the
like
field
there was a
allowed
clown
him to
there.
excel in the amateur
So I got up
ranks.
from my
The
chair and
question
walked
is,
over
will
to the
that
window.
prowess translate to the
Now that I had a
professional
better
level?
view, I could see that there was in fact a clown there, or at least somebody that was wearing a clown mask. They were standing just a couple of feet into the woods, partially blocked by trees. But the clown was looking right at our house, possibly
And
at
it's
my
a
window.
pop-up.
It was extremely creepy to see this.
And that
I
is
ran
out
out of
number
my
3.
bedroom and found my
So they get
parents in the living room. I
So
told them there
digging
was
in,
some guy
Sammy
dressed as a
Stafura.
clown in the backyard. They followed me to my bedroom window, but when we got there,
Grounder
whoever this
might be
guy
2.
was now gone.
There's
I
1.
told my parents where he
Double
was and
play,
everything.
and that'll do it for
We
the
all
inning.
went outside after that and looked around the backyard, although I was really creeped out. Luckily, we didn't see or hear anything when we were out there.
That one fouled
The
off.
woods in our
Snyder
backyard
goes
was
6
not
feet
that
3
big.
inches.
It only went back
18 years
probably
old.
20
He's been
feet, and then there was a
absolutely
fence.
electric over the last 10
I was
games.
guessing
hitting
whoever
over
this guy was
400.
went through the neighbor's
That
yard.
one not
At least he
close.
wasn't in our yard
2
anymore.
outs, bases
It was
empty.
a real mystery as to who he was and what exactly he was doing back there.
Fly ball left
We all
field.
went back inside, and I
Makes
went
the
back to
grab
what I
on the
was
run.
doing. I
And
looked
that's
out
the
of my
end of the
window
inning.
every so often, but luckily
And
the
next, the
clown
cleanup
man did
hitter.
not return. The next couple of days were normal. No signs of the clown or anything.
Up the
But it was
middle.
less than a week later, and I
Snyder.
found myself home alone. My parents were gone at
There
friends,
with
and my
plenty of
sister was
time.
at a friend's
Inning
house
over.
also.
3 up, 3.
I was playing video games in my
We're back
bedroom,
here at the
and it was
ballpark.
probably
On
about
to the
9
next
o'clock
inning.
at night.
Now it's the shortstop,
It was the
Daniel
same setup
Snyder.
as the previous time. I randomly looked out of my window, which was to my right, about 15 feet away. I saw the clown guy again. This time, he was not in the woods though, but standing in the middle of the backyard,
That one
much
felt
closer.
good.
He was facing me and
Snyder
looking directly
played
at my
well, but
window.
couldn't lift them to a
I got
win.
up and ran over to the
Blasted a
window
pair
and
of
covered it
homers.
with my
This game
shades,
shows
but
just
then ran
why
out of
he's
my
a key
bedroom as quickly
contributor
as
for
possible.
every
I
team
didn't
needs
know what
hitters
to
who
do.
give them the kind
Why
of
would the
results
clown
he
guy
did
come
here.
back? I called my parents and told
Daniel
them about it.
Snyder now at the
They
plate.
advised me to call the police if he didn't leave the yard immediately. So I looked out of another window, but I didn't see the guy anymore. I was hoping that meant that he left.
Well hit the other way.
I
That
got
one
off the phone
going
with my
back
parents and then
and
looked out of several
foul.
other windows. I didn't see the clown. Then I headed back to my bedroom. When I was walking in, though, I heard a knock at the front
And
door.
takes low for ball 1.
I went over and checked out the front window and saw the clown. He was standing on the front step. I just moved away from there and ignored it. I went back into my bedroom, put my headphones on, and forced myself to just play video games. I did that until my parents got back home. When they did, the clown guy was long gone. After that night, I kept my bedroom window covered at all times. I also didn't stay home by myself for several weeks because I was too creeped out to.
Foul.
I'm not sure if the
Runner
clown
at
guy
first,
ever came
one
back or
away.
not, but I didn't see him or hear from him again.
Swing and a ball popped up. Callahan under it. Puts it away for the out.
I was on a road trip for work, driving on a long highway to my next hotel. It was just some cheap hotel in a town I'd never heard of, but was right off the highway from my route. I drove on this
In the
empty
air
road
on the
for
infield, and
hours,
there's the call
only
for the
seeing another
infield.
car or two every once in a while, until at some point I saw a car's headlights coming up behind me. For the next
No
3
outs,
hours that
runner
I
at
drove,
first.
this
Wendell
car
Marrero
stayed
digs
behind
in
me
now.
on this massive empty highway.
Now the 1-2 pitch.
When I reached the exit for
Hit
the
on the
hotel,
ground, might be
I
2.
pulled off and parked in the
To
lot.
second for 1.
A few seconds
They
later,
get 2.
the car behind me did the same, parking on the other side of the hotel's parking lot. It was a really big coincidence for them to have been behind me for 3 hours
swings
and
and
have
fouls
the
one off.
same destination as me. but I tried to not overcomplicate it and considered it some strange luck. On the outside, this hotel was not very attractive. It was old and small. It was the only building off the highway. No other restaurants or houses or anything. I was under the impression when I booked it that it was in a town, but I guess I was wrong. I got out and grabbed my bag, then went up to the front desk inside the building. The woman at the front desk checked me in, giving me a key card to my room.
The first baseman,
For
the
how
next
old
hit.
the place looked, both inside and out, I was half surprised they even had
Checks on
key
the
card
runner,
doors
and
and
back
not
in.
physical locks. I walked down to the end of the hallway on the first floor, going up to my room and scanning the card multiple times before it finally worked.
Runner on the move. Grounded
It was
to third.
old-fashioned and
Callahan.
very small,
In
but it
plenty
looked
of time
clean
to
and taken
first.
care of, which was all I was concerned about. I
Two
set
out and a
everything
runner
down,
in scoring
started
position.
unpacking
The
what I
third
needed for
baseman
the
getting
night,
ready to hit.
and just moments later, there was a knock on
Man
my
at
door.
second with two down.
I looked
Swings
out
through
the
that one
peephole
for a
and
strikeout.
saw a man standing in the hallway.
So one hit.
I'd never seen him before,
Now the
and he
left
didn't
fielder,
look like
Wendell
he worked for the
Marrero.
hotel. I chose to ignore him and not answer the door. I don't know, it just felt like the safer option, considering the empty hotel right next to the empty highway.
And
Whatever
no
he
throw
wanted
for
couldn't
some
have been
reason as the
important
batter
anyways,
reaches
because he
first.
didn't
That's
knock
gotta
again
be it.
after that.
One gone,
I
runner at
finished up
first.
what I was doing
Batter
in the
now,
shower,
Daniel
then got in
Snyder.
bed.
1 for 3.
I turned on the TV and watched one of the random free movies they had, then fell asleep sometime
Out
around
towards left
12
center,
or 1
moving back
a.m.
for this one.
When I woke up,
Hauls that
the
one
room
in.
was completely dark, and I was extremely tired. In the back of my head, I was hearing this beeping
And
sound,
now the right fielder.
ringing over and over as I was in between being awake and asleep. All of a sudden, my eyes widened, and I snapped fully awake, just as I
Ground ball
understood
up the
what
middle
the sound
through for a base
was.
hit. Rounds third,
I
headed
jumped
for
out
the
of bed
plate.
and
Here's
flicked on the
throw.
lamp.
In
The
there
beeping
as a run
stopped
scored.
and was followed by
Fell
footsteps
behind in the
sprinting
count
down
with
the
2
hallway.
strikes, but didn't panic.
I ran over to the door
One
and
out and
swung
the
it
bases
open,
are empty.
looking down the
Snyder
hall,
will hit
but I
next.
must have barely missed him. A few seconds later, the woman from the front desk showed up at the end
Base
of the
knock, center
hallway,
field.
looking
So
nervously
one on
down
now
at
with
me.
one away.
I asked her if she saw anyone running. She nodded, saying a man just ran
And
out
here's
to
the
the
first
parking
baseman.
lot. I looked out and saw a man getting into a car, the same one that was behind me on the
Runner on the go.
highway.
That
He
one
backed
ripped
out
into
and
right
drove
center.
away,
That's got
squeaking
a
his
chance.
tires from leaving so fast and dangerously
Makes the
entering
catch
back
up
onto
against
the
the wall.
highway. I asked the woman
He's
for more
second, but it's
details,
offline.
and she said he had just walked in a few minutes ago and went right
And
down
now
the
it's
hall.
going to be the third
So she
baseman,
assumed
number
he had a
14.
room already. Then a minute later, she saw him sprinting out. I told her that I woke up to the sound of a key
Takes
card
it to the bag
trying
at
to
first.
unlock my door.
They're in plenty of time. Ends
Knowing
the
my
inning.
key card took a few tries to work,
On to the
it made
bottom
me
of the
terrified
eighth.
to
And
think
now the
that he
center
may have
fielder,
somehow
number
had the
70.
right one and could have been a couple more attempts from
Out to short.
entering. The fact that he even had a key card was terrifying.
One pitch and one
Keep
out.
things short. Police weren't too helpful, and the man was never found. I did some research on my own, though, and found some people talking about fake universal key cards that can work with some random hotel doors, which was unsettling to know about. I don't know what that man was trying to do, or exactly how everything happened that
Fouled
night,
off left
but
side.
I won't be staying at any more hotels for a long
2
time.
down and nobody aboard. And we're just getting going here in the top of the first.
I work
Sharp
at a
grounder, and he
family-owned
gets
hotel
through
in
for
my
a base
town.
hit.
Despite its
That keeps the
small
inning
and
going.
rather less luxurious appearance when compared to other big-name hotels,
the first
we
baseman,
actually
number
get decent business. It's nothing crazy, but there aren't a lot of other
There goes
hotels
the
in our
runner.
town,
It's
so
for a
most
strike.
people only have a couple options
Takes
to
it
pick
second with
from.
a steal.
During summer and winter, we get a lot of bookings, but in spring and fall it slows down to just a few bookings a night, and rarely, no bookings
Runner
at
goes
all.
again.
This happened last
And a base
spring,
hit.
and our hotel only had a handful
Here's
of
the throw
people
to the
staying
plate.
with us.
It's
I
offline
was
and the
working my
run
normal
scores.
shift of 6 to 2 a.m., and just around 11, a man walked through the front entrance with a
So
large
2
rolling
on and 2 out.
suitcase.
And now the right fielder.
He looked normal, but while he was kind and soft-spoken, he seemed very tired, like he'd maybe just gotten off a long
Ground ball to
plane
third
ride.
base. And handles that one.
He asked for a one-night stay,
Zips
with
it
the
to
room on
first.
the first
Play
floor at
made.
the end
That
if
ends the inning.
possible. And while we don't always take these kinds of requests, I allowed it because it wasn't busy. He thanked me and walked down the hallway, and I continued with standing at the desk and organizing
Off to a
papers.
good start with
But
the
then
leadoff
another
knock.
man walked in. He carried no luggage or bags, and looked
No time
tired as
wasted
well,
here.
but
And
was
we'll see if
much
his
less
speed becomes a
friendly.
factor now that he's
He
on
almost
first.
demanded a room,
And next, the
wanting
cleanup
it
hitter.
next to the man who'd just come
Next
in
pitch is
before him,
downstairs.
saying they were friends on a trip together. This was a normal request we'd get sometimes, although usually the groups staying next to each other would come in together. But since I'd given the other man his request, I felt like I had to with this man as well.
No outs and a runner on
I
second.
didn't see any reason for him to be lying, or any reason for it to be a problem.
3-1.
I gave
Couldn't
him the
come up
room
with
at the end of the hall, next to the other man, and he
And
walked
now,
off.
the third baseman, number 14.
I did some more work, then sat down and relaxed for a while, snacking on some lunch I brought
Here's the
and
pitch, and it's a
scrolling through the
double
news on my
steal.
phone.
This one in the air to right.
After about an hour, the desk
The
phone
catch.
started
Throws
ringing.
to second.
I got up and
Safe.
checked, seeing it was a room number, not an outside caller. I answered and started
And
talking,
here's the catcher.
but only a second in, they hung up. I didn't hear any voices or anything, only a
Runner
shuffling
edging
sound
away at
just
second
before they
base.
ended the call.
On the ground to the left.
I figured they accidentally called, or decided they didn't need anything. But I still checked the room number and noticed it was the one I'd given to the kind man who walked
It's
in.
understandable that they tried to get the out at third on that play, if a bit
Minutes
aggressive.
passed
But
before
a
a
nice
thud
job by the
echoed
runner
down
to
the
get a good
hallway.
jump, and everyone's safe. One
I
away,
stepped
and
around
the
the
bases
counter
are
and
loaded here.
looked,
And
not
now
seeing
it's the
anyone.
switch-hitting second baseman.
For a noise to
Gets
have
him
traveled
swinging.
that far and literally
Two
echo in
gone
the
and
building,
bases loaded.
it had to be
And
something
now,
really loud,
Pierre-Olivier
either
Boucher.
breaking or falling over or something like that. I went back
Right
to the
side,
desk
hard
and
hit.
redialed the room
Out,
number
and
that
they
had just
escape
called.
a bases loaded.
It rang for a second, but then they rejected it. I looked down the hall once more, but didn't know what else
Foul
to
ball
do.
there.
If it
Snyder,
was something
only
bad,
18
they
years
would have
old.
called
He's been
or come up to tell
absolutely
me.
electric over
So
the
I
last
just
10
left it
games,
at
hitting
that.
over 400.
30 minutes
Swing and a miss,
passed,
and that's
with no
strike
further
two.
sounds or calls, until I heard someone coming down the hallway. I looked up to see the other man,
Misses in the
the
dirt.
less friendly one, walking up to the counter. He said he needed to leave early, so I confirmed his checkout, and he left. I went home that night with a strange feeling in my gut,
And
but I wasn't
misses
so
inside.
sure why. It wasn't until days had passed that I understood. The other man staying there never checked
Held off
out,
again, still
and when the
3-2.
room was searched, they found his suitcase and belongings, but he wasn't there. No trace of him
On ground
at
ball,
all.
that's a base hit.
We tried to track down the other man, who claimed to
And
be
the
with
leadoff
him,
hitter aboard.
but he was also untraceable, having no matches
Love how
to
he
the
became
name,
a
address,
really
and number
tough out
he'd
with
provided.
2 strikes right there. That one might
It's
as well
unclear
have
if he was
been placed
involved,
on a
but
tee,
obviously I
right
think he
down
was.
the middle, a hitter's
However,
dream.
I don't know how he
Pitcher's
could have
nightmare.
gotten rid of the
Callahan.
other man if
To
he had
second,
done
there's
something.
one. Throw off line, he's
I
safe,
still
and
work
a
at the
nice
hotel,
job there to keep
but
it
no
from
more
getting
evidence
away.
has surfaced, and
Bottom of the
both
inning,
men are
leading off,
still
Bubba
missing to
Thompson.
this day.
Grounds it to short. Snyder. Now
This
the throw to
happened just a
first on
month
the run.
ago.
Nicely
I was
done
moving
for the
across
out.
a few states to a new
Nobody out,
apartment and
runner
stopped
in
at a motel
scoring position.
overnight.
Daniel
I didn't
Snyder
plan the
digs
entire
in now.
route
3
or
for
which motel
3
I would
with
stay
3
at.
singles.
I just went with the closest one
What
after I
that
started getting
curveball
sleepy.
was way high. He
I'd never stayed at a
clearly didn't
motel
release it
before,
properly.
but when I pulled in, it was about how I would have expected it to be. It was in the middle of the woods, off
This
the
one
side
is
of the road,
labeled.
and was
That
a bit
one's
run
back
down
there.
looking, and not somewhere I'd want to
Puts
spend
it
more
away.
than a night
Runner
at.
tagging for third.
The
Just
parking
a bluff,
spots
though,
were
wasn't
all
going
empty.
anywhere. Runner stays
Not
at
even
second
one
with
car.
away.
I wasn't
Snyder
even
now
sure
at the
how
plate.
the worker at the front desk had gotten there. I got a room, though, and walked down to my door and went inside.
Ground ball could be two.
Again, it was
Fires
run
to
down
second
and
for
kind
one.
of
On
gross,
to first,
but it was
double
better than
play,
nothing, I
and that's
guess.
the inning.
I was gonna shower, but the tub was really
Alright,
filthy,
guys,
so I
done
pretty
for
much
today.
went right to bed. I laid down and tried to get
As
comfortable,
always, thanks
but
for
before
watching.
I even turned